Hey there, guys. It's Metro. All right. I don't know. I've never done this before. Actually, first time I've ever streamed something that's not actually WoW. But I don't know how else to do this. To be honest, I don't want to keep making videos on this. And if anybody's watching this, especially, I don't know what the next like, however long this goes, is gonna look like. Okay, but I think it's like really important that we have this conversation because there's a lot being said here that I don't really understand, and I think it's an important topic but I just don't know how to get this. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. So I'm going to try my best because I genuinely want to have this conversation with this guy. And I want to help. I want to help. I mean, I don't know what else I can say at this point. So we're just going to do it and fuck it. If nothing happens, it doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen, I'll delete it or whatever. But at least we can hang out because I don't have any. I want to make videos, but I can't because this guy leaves a new comment every like 10 minutes. So I don't want to miss out. Like, I don't want to spend 2 hours making a video and then I come back to another 100 comments. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read every comment he's left on this video now since yesterday, basically. And then we'll just chat. We'll just chat. And hopefully, I guess, adding him in the chat, in the title will, I guess, get his attention. I don't know. But again, if you're watching this, brother, if you are hearing what I'm saying right now, again, no ill will. I have nothing against you. It's just what you're saying doesn't make sense, and I'm trying to understand what I'm missing, but you don't have a lot of answers. So I think it's because of a lack of ability to communicate properly or something. I don't know. It could be me. Like I said, I'm totally open to that conversation. But anyway, what's up, guys? I'm not going to do like, this isn't going to be a normal stream. So, but yeah, we can chat along the way. So anyway, I made the video yesterday, and then this, like, I guess... this was his first comment on the video. I think I can't find. I'm trying to find. I strongly feel like he's just playing you for attention. I mean, that's fine. I'm doing the same to him. So if that's truly what's happening, it's a mutually beneficial. I don't know. I don't think so though. I really don't. I think Painbow's actually right. Yeah. I don't want it to be like we're bashing on the guy for that, but yeah. Anyway, this was the first comment I think he left. So I'm going to try to read them in order, but it's going to be hard to do that, okay? I think it might be pertinent to maybe just, like, read them in order of the string that they're left in. But, like, yeah. I mean, we probably need to, like, refresh. Let's just do it now and get it out of the way. It's a real pain in the ass. I don't think there's an easy way to see every single comment by one person on a video. It's really confusing. It used to work. I used to be, before this bullshit where it was, like, this... like if I type this in to the search, it doesn't work. Like you should be able to type this in and it should show you every comment with that in it, but it doesn't. It shows you comments that aren't, like, it's basically only showing you comments that are replying to the guy, which works, but then, you know, we have to, like, it doesn't show you all the comments. So I guess what we can do is, like, then just go to the comment on the actual video. I don't know how to do it, so instead what I've been doing is we scroll all the way to the bottom. It takes a while. Scrolling all the way to the bottom, and then once we've gotten to the very bottom, we go like regular mode, just Control F, and try to find all the comments with his name in it, basically. Also, this guy, I'm like 100% sure that this is him, the same person now. But this is also comments I got left here. What if you click that filter icon? Does it show? Yeah, no, it doesn't show anything about the actual character. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, this is like the fake him, like the second account him. But I'm like, Painbow brought up some things, and then I noticed on his channel he talks a lot about politics. Can you now search his username in the search bar? Now, this is just my videos, but then you would normally type it in here. And like I said, when it used to be an actual account instead of this bullshit, you could find it. Like I used to type this in. I used to type the actual name of the account in, and then it would show up here. But it doesn't work like that anymore because it's not what's displaying on the channel. Just got out of a Mythic Plus community where the founder very much had similar views on pugs. He was extremely toxic and judgmental himself. And I think that's like the biggest thing that I want to talk more about. It's like, are we, like, I still don't understand. Let's just read the comments. I can talk all day on this. So anyway, this is something that somebody else that is not him, quote unquote, said. So I'll just start here. This guy is criticizing me for making the video. I don't know where I said this. I don't know that I said this anywhere. What do you think his goal was? I have no idea. That's what I'm just trying to figure out, to be honest. Because like I said, I really genuinely want to help this person solve this issue or understand this issue so I could maybe raise awareness around it more if it's a serious issue. But I don't know how this all started. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially related to the video. So I said, I guess at some point I said I don't care about his opinion. I don't remember saying that, but this was a wild hour and 15-minute video that I made. So I guess he's quoting me, quote unquote, but I don't know that that happened. And so he's criticizing me for saying that and then making an hour-long video showing how much he doesn't care. And yeah, if I said that, I apologize because I obviously care about your opinion. Like, I mean, that's clear, right? You making it so basically, like, it's so clear in the context of the conversation that you don't even have to comment on it and you think it's ironic. So obviously I care about your opinion. And then just back-to-back comments. This is the thing that Painbow commented on, how the fact that he like does these like non sequiturs and leaves constant comments, and that is indicative of that being the same person. So I agree with that. Anyway, once an open talk proves in 10 minutes that he's just a condescending jerk and never stops. I could see, like I said, I could see why people would say that. But I tried really hard not to be like, yeah, we all have stuff we can work on. That was me trying hard. So yeah, I apologize if you're feeling like I'm a condescending jerk, but I feel like you are too. So I'm trying to move past that and be mature about it. And then there was other comment. This guy resurfaced. You guys remember Hector? Just randomly resurfaced to talk about, I guess, the other videos I made this weekend, but not on the videos that I made. It's funny. Anyway, here's the other person who is probably them as well, but is pretending to not be. And this is like a recurring theme here that I want to address today for sure. Hundreds of submissions. Yeah, but what about the other 99.95% of players? What about all these people's other runs they didn't think to record? You have years of anecdotes, just like Potato, but for some reason, only you can be correct. Weird how that works out that way. Yeah, and so I don't know, like, it's obvious, but, like, I don't look at it as an anecdote. Like, I have factual, like, you know, I put a lot of effort into this concept on this channel, and I think that's what kind of insults me a little bit, is, like, to call them anecdotes, it's like, no. Did you see the stats tab? Like, I mean, they're not anecdotes. It's actual statistics. So I don't know. I started doing the spreadsheet at the beginning of Shadowlands, yes, but I actually started it in BFA. I did it in Season 4 BFA for the first time. But Shadowlands was when I started, like, seriously doing it. So I don't know why that phrase is being used, anecdotes. Like, is that, like, what does that word, like, literally mean? I actually don't know the classical definition of the word. A short, amusing, or interesting story about a real incident or person. Yeah, that's not what I have. We talking about the guy who has DPS spec as tank in 80% of his runs. I guess that's, I don't know what we're talking about in relationship to that guy. I'm just reading the comments, and hopefully the fact that I added him in the title of the stream will get his attention. I don't know. Even if we can't get him in Discord, maybe if we can just get him in the chat here, it'll be easier to have a conversation. Because I really like to do this, but he's just, like, ignoring me and not. Anyway, but yeah, so this idea that, like, anecdotes are coming from this conversation, I don't know. That's not the case. They mean anecdotal evidence, which is basically a way to dismiss it as not representative of the experiences. Right, and one way or the other, like, this is not true because I'm collecting data from other people too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand that. Like, that doesn't seem like what's happening to me. So that seems kind of insulting, honestly. Okay, so anyway, there's other comments from this person. Let's see if we can find that. And then we're gonna read all that guy's comments. I appreciate everybody who also was, like, worried about me or something. They're like, hey, man, don't worry about this guy. He's a Mino. And it's like, no, I'm not worried about it. This is fun. Like, I enjoy this. This is more fun than really a lot of stuff, unfortunately. I'd rather do this than actually, like, fail keys over and over again, honestly, at times. I know. There was another comment from that Cassiopeia fake person. But I guess it maybe got deleted or something. Years of documented examples from multiple people and yourself. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's not just me doing this. That's why I had hoped to show the email. Like, we've already gotten 3 more emails since that video was made. And that's just the ones I haven't read yet. So it's like, yeah, there's an enormous amount of Mythic Plus content on this channel. So this reminds me of that one dude that went off in you in season 4 of Dragonflight because they didn't know key levels changed. Yeah, this is way, way worse than that, but this is similar. I only play Mythic Plus and have been that way since Shadowlands. I never ran into issues other than when I first tried tanking and forgot to switch specs. So once we read these comments, you're going to see like a lack of consistency on what the actual argument is. And I think that's my biggest, like, if we can solve that today, I would be very, very happy. Because if we don't solve that, I don't know how to address this. Like, I still don't understand what the actual argument is. So anyway, this again, we're going to start reading his comments now. This was his first comment on this video. Okay. He says, yep, I gave you the benefit of the doubt, but nope, deuces, which I think means I'm leaving. That's obviously not true. But anyway, even other people call both of us out, but you can't get it. So nobody did that. Like, is he talking about this like fake other account that he's probably piloting? Like, it's not a genuine, nobody's called both of us out. Like, that hasn't happened. So I'm not really sure where this comment's coming from. You won't learn or listen, and you don't understand how anecdotal your limited perspective is with the few fans submitting. So I'm trying to learn and listen. That's the thing. Like, I'm trying really hard to do it, and I don't know how to do it better than I am. Like, does anybody have any advice? Like, I don't know how to do it better than I am. I'd love to see who called out in support of the 80%. No, yeah, nobody. It's just that other fake account that we believe is like owned by him or something like that. Anyway, so if you guys don't know Painbow is actually like insane. Like, he's who I want to be when I grow up on this topic. Okay, he came up with the Painbow method. I can't even like give you examples, but like I guess he's deleted a lot of the shit. But at one point he was basically like interviewing people for years and years, and maybe it's here in the actual videos, but for years and years and years, he was like interviewing people who he believed had like cognitive dissonance, I guess, or whatever. I don't know if there's like a good example quickly, but yeah, so he basically like has been through the fire on this topic, and he's like, they were called targeted persons. I think that's like a phrase that they used. So I don't like, yeah, he knows a lot about this, but he's also, you know, obviously very frustrated with the person too. So he's not necessarily helping it, but I have a lot of respect for his background on the topic. And he actually called me yesterday when I was out getting dinner and doing some shopping. And he was like, I want to talk to you about this, but then he had to go to sleep by the time I got home, I guess. So anyway, he's saying like this. I mean, I think he genuinely believes the guy has schizophrenia. A couple of people have commented that now. Like paranoid schizophrenia. It seems like a lot of the behavior here might actually be indicative of such. I don't necessarily understand that. Like, I don't know what kind of doctor would diagnose that, but I'm not that doctor, obviously. I'm not a doctor, period. But I think he's right. I hate to say it, but it's like, I don't know. The guy says he has lupus in one of the other comments, which I don't know anything about either, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's really hard to have like a conversation when it's like, this isn't helping. I don't think Painbow's helping with this, but I get it that's probably the case. So I tried to avoid bringing it up to him directly because actual schizophrenia is far, far weirder and worse. I do think he's mental, but I wouldn't pin it on one illness. Yeah, I'm just trying to avoid that because it's not going to help anyway. Like, you don't want to, that sounds like an insult if you bring it up. So anyway, you know, him and Painbow have been going back and forth on it. In fact, Painbow is messaging him on his channel too. So I just stick to this. Like, can we just call? Like, I don't know. Like, it seems very easy to have this conversation if we just got in Discord. So then B, who another longtime viewer, he says, it's you that clearly isn't listening. Metro Pug season after season. He plays solo, basically just explaining all the stuff I try to explain. The guy's retort is, I've been doing Mythic Plus 20s since Legion, which obviously that's not true. Almost exclusively doing solo runs. Stop. You don't know me either. You're accusing me of the same thing that you're doing right now. Think before you speak. I think, yeah, I don't know. And then Painbow was like in the Discord. I don't know. He was going nuts in the Discord. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm not really sure. But anyway, a lot of the comments that he leaves here are going to be like this. It's all like saying like, you're not listening to me, or you don't know enough about me to comment, or and this part's confusing to me because it's like we're trying to, at least me personally, I'm trying to learn more about him. I'm trying to understand the problem, and I'm trying to help, the topic get solved. But it's just always this kind of response, like, you don't know me, lol. And to me, like, my instant response to that is like, but I do know me. And so, like, I have more evidence than you do, right? Like, one way or the other, I trust me more than you. I don't know you, and that's not evidence for me wanting to listen to you. That's the opposite. Like, it seems like, I get it, I could be, like, creating, like, a biased echo chamber here or whatever, but, like, it seems like nobody agrees with his like, general topics. So it's like, okay, well, how can I believe you then? Like, you don't have any evidence, and you're just saying it's anecdotes on all sides, but if everybody's anecdote is on one side and yours is on the opposite, then, like, I don't know where to go. Like, it doesn't, like, I need more. I need some actual conversation to happen. And a lot of people a lot of people think he's actually trolling. And honestly, like I said, if he is, perfect. That's good. That's better. Because then I don't feel like I'm picking on somebody who's like some paranoid schizophrenic, like somebody who's got something seriously wrong with him. I would be happier if he was trolling, actually. Because then it means both of us are happy at the end of this conversation. I don't want him to be unhappy. I don't have anything against the guy. Like, if he's trolling me, perfect. Good work. Thank you. So there's a lot of comments from Tom. He had gotten really involved in this conversation. But he says, you can just shut everybody up that is questioning your Mythic Plus history by giving your character or character's name. Raider IO goes back to 7.2 and doesn't require the runs to be logged. Yeah, that's... Yeah, and so I think he already replied to that saying, like, oh, my channel or my characters have been deleted for some reason. I don't think that's how it works, but maybe it does. So then here's a comment, this, I think, like, whenever people say and word it this way, it's like usually pretty measured and you can trust it. But you obviously could be disingenuous too. But like comments like this, I trust a lot, where they say, I don't always agree with Metro, but I am dumbfounded by your posts. I am not trying to be insulting at all, but is English not your first language? As that might explain as I will only speak for myself, some of the confusion in regards to the points you are making. Are you upset about a Demon Hunter tank? So yeah, he's asking, like, why is he upset? Never get an answer on that. Not in any of this guy's replies in the last 12 hours. He's never actually answered the question. Chick says it does not work that way. My main Demon Hunter has been moved, renamed, etc. And all my Mythic Plus and log history persists. That's what I figured, yeah. So anyway, he said, I wouldn't characterize Metro's perspective as anecdotal. He literally has videos and stats going back years. Whether you agree with his opinion of the WoW community, and again, I personally don't always agree, his conclusions are generally based on quantifiable evidence. Can you please articulate the thing about which you are upset? Yeah, this is actually such a great question, and I wish that we got the answer. But he just doesn't reply to him. He just ignores him. Then a couple of people were saying that this guy's not a real person, which I knew from the start he was, just by the way it was happening, but a lot of people thought it wasn't real. Hey Metro, I think that guy was a Demon Hunter tank. Responded drastically to anyone adding him, except when I asked him if he was the Demon Hunter. Yeah, there's a lot of people who he ignores, though, frankly. So I would definitely say it's not him. It's possible. It's like a 1% chance, so I would say. Extremely unlikely. Anyway, so he replies to this comment. Thank you for quitting. I can't imagine how much of a bad player you must be to get flamed in the majority of your runs. Which is what we're going off based on the 80% comment. Like, he said that. It wasn't us who said that. He gets mad by that. He says, never once said I got slammed in any of my runs. Maybe literally, but it's like, if you're saying that 80% of keys... I don't even know what he's reacting to in the first place, but if 80% of keys are toxic, quote-unquote, then you're saying that. Yeah, I think so. Like, you can't possibly say that if you ran... And then Tom brings up a really good point, that if the guy actually had the accolades that he says he has across all the characters he's played, then this would be like dozens of thousands of runs over the years. And so if 80% of them were toxic, you would have to imagine like at least 80%, at least 50% of that 80 are failures then because of that, based on what we've seen at least. But even if it's like literally 1%, it's like no matter what, like statistically, you would have to eventually get slammed. It's just not possible, like, to be in a run that's toxic and not get some flack from somebody, you know? Anyway, thank you yet again for proving that this guy's viewers have their reading comprehensions of a chicken. He's going to go with that argument like a ton. Like, he's like spamming it. Like, it's a reading comprehension issue. And we'll come to my response to that in a bit. I did comment on that, but we'll continue. In order to get flamed, you have to talk. And that's well, okay, he does clarify, or you do poor performance. Which, yeah, like, this is the thing I'm worried about. Like, I imagine that, I mean, he doesn't actually address this situation, but, like, I would imagine that that's the issue. I think, yeah, I have limbs. Yeah, I have seen the Twitter bio, which is kind of scary. I'll just show it real quick since it got brought up. I'm not going to comment on it because I'm not trying to get into that kind of conversation, but I'm just going to highlight it and you guys can read it here. But this is his Twitter bio, which he obviously doesn't use anymore because, you know, Elon Musk now owns Twitter. So no surprise. But yeah, there's a lot. Like, you can see he's adding Ben Shapiro talking about this stuff. So read his Twitch description. I don't know if I saw that one. Let's see that one. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Whoops. I meant to click this. Anyway, but yeah, he's obviously like seriously involved in politics, so it's all good. If that's your thing, where is the, what is it, the About page? I don't know what I'm doing, but come watch me and ask me anything. I know literally everything in the universe, so just go crazy, and I will tell you the absolute truth in a factual way. I have a degree in astrophysics, which makes me qualified to talk about nothing. Try not to take me serious. I think that's a joke, I guess, yeah. Anyone who rants about politics on Twitter is too much. It's like, to me, it's obsession, yeah. I think it's obsession. Like, the people who get really worked up about politics and stuff, it's obsession. But anyway, let's continue with the game stuff. So we got in the middle of the conversation and derailed there. He said, in order to get kicked out of the groups or get flamed, you would have to get invited in the first place. And I think, like, if I was to assume what his actual problem is, it's that he gets invited to very few groups, which it's like, I think there's more to it than you realize. Like, it's not just you suck, you know what I mean? Sounds to me like this guy is not a troll and actually believes everything he says and wants attention to start debating things. Yeah, and like I said, I'm happy to give the attention. Like, I don't look at that as a bad thing. Anyway, I forgot you guys don't live in base reality with the rest of us, so I'm not going to waste any more of my time on you. Don't bother responding. You've already been blocked. This is another one that he spams, talking about blocking people that he's replying to. I mean, I have no evidence that he didn't block this guy, but he has said he blocked me, but he's still responding to me, so I don't know how that's possible. He's too scared to get in Discord. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's scared or what, but, like, I want to try to make it as, like, welcoming as possible, because I don't know. I really like to have this conversation with the person. It seems like, yeah. This guy made me so mad. I can't believe a human being like him exists. Yeah. I like, that's why I think people think he's a troll, but maybe he thinks it's like WoW ignore, which he knows he uses. Like, he can still comment back, yeah. Anyway, then he replies to Dave commenting on him being a bot, basically. Another person with the reading comprehension of a rock. And yet another person who doesn't understand anecdotal evidence or survivorship bias. So I wanted to make, like, I was going to make a whole video on this because I thought he brings this up a few times. So I don't know much about this. I'm not mad, but what's he upset about? Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that. That was you, right? I'm glad that you asked that. Yeah, that was you. I don't understand his point either, and that's why I want to talk to him. Looks like he used to be a Ben Shapiro reply guy. What is a reply guy? What does that mean? That's survivorship. You should definitely do a video on. I love that topic. Well, I meant like I was going to make the video about this argument because he brings this up a few times. Survivorship bias occurs when researchers focus on individuals, groups, or cases that have passed some sort of selection process while ignoring those who did not. Survivorship bias can lead researchers to form incorrect conclusions due to only studying a subset of the population. And so I think why he's bringing this up is he keeps talking about it under the context that I'm ignoring the people who have quit and only listening to the people who still play. But it's like, that's just not true. I get submitted videos from people who have quit before too. So survivorship bias is kind of correct here, but he's wrong to invoke it. He's saying that because you've been successful, you're assuming other people are too, but you're not ignoring them. So he's wrong. Yeah, like I'm definitely not like discounting people. I just said that like the people who quit are not the ones you want to listen to because they gave up. You know what I mean? Like I want to listen to people still trying to solve this problem. I want to listen to people who are actively in Mythic Plus, frustrated, failing, not succeeding at their, not getting their goals met or whatever. Those people matter more to me. It's not that the other people don't matter at all. It's just they matter more to me because they're still trying. And that, I said that in another comment. I can't find it now, but I said that like the people who quit and run away from it and still complain about it are cowards because they just don't want to face the problem head on. They're just going to give up on it, but they're not moving on from it. To me, that's like the epitome of cowardice. Whereas if all the people who actually didn't have a good experience in the game all like actually stood up for this shit and pressured Blizzard to fix it and push back against these people who are flagging them or whatever this guy's saying they're doing, like the game would be better for it. But instead everybody runs away from it and then just cries about it on Reddit. Like it's really, really bad. So right, like if you're gonna give up on it, if you're gonna run away from it, then just move on with your life. That's what I mean. Like he's not done this. Nobody's done this. These people do this. They're like, the game's so shitty. I quit it 10 years ago. Well, then why are we still talking about it? Like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? Lim says, I just joined the convo. Can we get a TLDR of this guy's issue? Honestly, the TLDR is the video that I made yesterday, an hour and a half video. There's no TLDR. Like, you can go and read his comments really quickly, and maybe that's the TLDR, but like, it's really hard to understand. But I guess if I had to summarize it, I made a video about some really wacky shit that was totally unrelated to toxicity. And the guy started ranting about toxicity. And then I basically said, stop ranting about toxicity. And he got really, really mad at me to the point where now he's like, I mean, it's like off the rails. I don't know what else to say. Basically insulting everybody who comes into the conversation. So he asked some questions along the way, which I'd love to answer. He says, I do have a question, though. Are you still capable of breathing and walking at the same time? Oh, it wasn't a genuine question. I know some guys like you that are really struggling with things like that, so I wanted to make sure you're okay. Which is like a weird, I don't know if that's like a joke. Like you know guys who are struggling with breathing? I would, yeah, anyway. Okay, so let's try to find another one. So this was the comment we just read. I wanted to try to do it in order, but it's like impossible. Wait, why are we only looking at these right now? Okay, so he basically just replies to like all the top comments. So it's like the easiest way to say, to look for him. Hey, Kevin, what's up? Eric Buey says, I have asthma. I don't think he means asthma. Does he mean you're fat? Maybe. I'm not sure what he means. Anyway, so a lot of the top comments get read, I think, because he just looked at them and replied. But when even incredibly tame criticism sets someone off like this, it starts to make sense why the majority of their runs are toxic. And that's that may be the best insight into this in the whole video, because what I posted was like absolutely nothing. Like there was no toxicity whatsoever. People were rightfully reacting to a tank trying to not tank. Like that's not acceptable. I don't care. Like go do a normal dungeon if you want. There's no way that's, you can't look at that and think that those people are being unfair to that guy. Like, you know, he's being unfair to them. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this, okay? And so now we're back on this like chain comment diatribe shit, okay? So let's read this why we want to do this, because now we're back to this. So he says, he just can't read and made an hour-long video about me blocking him. He says this a bunch. I am not aware that he blocked me, and I don't know how he could because he's reading my comments. Like, I was not aware that he blocked me, and he doesn't appear to have blocked me, so I'm not mad about that. Like, this has nothing to do with why I made the video. All to show that he didn't get anything. I don't know if that's a typo or something. But I feel like I can read. It's like, I do feel like I have a little bit of like dyslexia at times. I'm sure you guys have noticed it, especially with numbers. I feel like I have a lot of problem with numbers, but I definitely feel like I can read. Yeah. So I don't think that's the case. I don't talk in game. So just like chain comments. I don't know why people do this, but they like chain comments. I don't talk in game, so hush. Maybe you should sit and read the chat now and again and get a taste of the trash people who still play. I don't know if he's trying to reply to me at this point. I'm going to go ahead and say he is. But regardless, I don't know who he's talking to, because that's literally like some dungeons. That's all we do. They are numerous. Like I said, they are numerous. I agree. That there are a lot of people out there who are... trash, I guess, is the word he's using. Like, we have many videos on the channel about it. Okay. Until they banned me from my post, which they do, in fact, do, and it's not the first time. I had never been actioned. Well, if it's not the first time, then you've already been actioned. That part doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But I would just continue, because he says, I was an MVP on the forums. No, you weren't. Because I was. It's funny, because I was an MVP on the forums. I don't know how many people know that. But yeah, that's how we went to BlizzCon and all that stuff. So unless we're talking about like many, many, many years ago, there's only one person I'm aware of who was actually an MVP on the forums that had a bit of a problem on the forums, and it was this person named Snowfox, but they ultimately ended up just stepping down on their own. Nobody was ever banned. I don't think there's we talked a lot about it, and yeah, there's never been an MVP who's been like banned from the forums or something like that. So anyway, that's just probably false, unless he's playing on EU or something, which I don't think, based on his accent and the way he seems to talk about US. But anyway, I speak from experience of listening and living in the forums. And I think this is my biggest worry about the person, is that this guy doesn't actually have any real experience. He's just listening to people talk about it. And when you sit there and listen to people talk about it, it might seem like it's a bigger issue than it is. And so I could actually like totally understand that the idea here is that 80% of the people he hears talk about Mythic Plus are people complaining about it. That would actually make more sense, because like a couple people say this about him, that he's like listening to Asmongold and Reddit and all this shit, like doesn't even play the game. But yeah, I don't know where else you would get this, because again, there's more. We'll come to this more, but this guy just gets a few videos out of millions of crap runs. First of all, I get that there's probably millions of Mythic Plus ran, but I really don't think there's the guy's talking about the sample size as it's like absurd. Like if there's like hundreds of trillions of people running Mythic Plus or something, it's like there's really not. I mean, I know the game isn't as popular as it used to be. Like, we can admit that. Like, there's definitely not an infinite number of runs out there that we can't possibly sample the size of. So I don't really get that. You simply don't have the sample sizes. I mean, I think we do. Like, I think we're pretty representative. Like I said, like we get hundreds of runs submitted a season. I record hundreds of runs a season. Over all these years, like I'm like also in the forums and Reddit. Like, I'm probably just as active as that guy is in these places. So it's just like the whole thing that's confusing to me is like why this guy thinks he knows more about this than I do. And yeah, I don't know about how to get that through to him, because it seems to me like it's pretty clear that like, okay, you have a limited experience, and I also have a limited experience, but I've also gone out of my way to find a less than limited experience. So I think by default that should mean that you should acquiesce. Like, I don't know. Anyway, there's no way this many of you are this uneducated. Okay, and just a tip, like, hey, I learned this the hard way. If you say this, it's you. Like, I've said this before, and yeah. It's you. Like, it's you. If you think like hundreds of thousands or whatever, like whatever you're saying, like everybody who's commenting on this video or whatever, if you think all of those people are uneducated and you're surprised by that, it's probably you're missing something. So That's what's happening here. Look up survivorship bias, and you will see why it's more important to get data from people who unsubscribed. Which I did look up, and like we looked at it here, and it's like I don't think that's what this says. First of all, maybe I'm like, maybe this isn't the right place to get the info, but from what I could tell, it's that bias forms because people look at one sample size, or one sect of the community basically, but you're saying to do the opposite. Like you're saying to do a different sect instead. But I'm trying to find it from both. Like I wanted to be data that is representative of the community. So I feel like I do get data from people who unsubscribed. I don't know. I think it was because I said that the people who unsubscribed are not as valid to me as the people who stuck around. But yeah. He admits to playing WoW 13 hours a day for most of his adult life. Who exactly is uneducated? It's kind of crazy, right? Why do you give this guy your time? Because it's fun as fuck, honestly. It's really fun. I mean, like, this is more fun for me than almost anything in the game. Anyway, I just thought of... So again, this chain of comments. Like, I just thought about this again and had to come back. This was in minutes, by the way. Like, it says 12 hours, but I was looking at them coming in real time, and it's like... They're not. They're like within minutes. He didn't think about this again. It was literally like he made the post and then immediately posted this. I just thought about this again and had to come back and laugh because the irony of you saying that I was angry. But this dude went out of his way to make an hour-long video about me where he proves that he has the reading comprehensions of a rock and then does this fake pretendy bullshit about wanting to help fix the game that he has no power over in a community that barely even knows of their existence. So let's talk about this. So... I think it's pretty clear if you watch the video, I'm not angry. I made the video for like reasons that maybe are selfish, honestly, but I'm definitely not angry. So that's not really ironic at all. And then also the whole reading comprehension thing. Like I literally read the comments. Like, I don't know how you can levy that against me. Like I that's why I read them out loud. I could have just made a video reacting to it without putting his stuff on the screen, but it's not like, that's not what we did. we actually read the comments. So like, it could be possible that I didn't understand every single point he made, but it's there. So that it's like, there's no reading comprehension problem in the video. The video is demonstrating both sides. And the fake pretending BS about wanting to help fix the game is not fake. Like, it's like literally hundreds of videos on this channel now about me trying to help people get better at the game. He says I have no power over it. Which like, I would understand that. I think it's like, I get why you would say that. Like, one person in the drop of the game's community doesn't sound like a lot, but it's not just one person because it's a community here. Like, we're trying to raise awareness around these topics. Thousands of people see the videos. Even if hundreds of people from those views disseminate that information amongst their communities, it spreads. And I think that might be the most overlooked thing here. The guy keeps talking about my lack of like my sample size is too small, but it's not just me. It's also the 4 other people in the group. You know what I mean? Are we still getting a video drop today? No, I'm just going to push it out because of this. I'm really hoping that this actually goes somewhere. Any chance of you playing the game today? No, I won't be doing any actual gameplay today. We'll be back to streaming normal stuff tomorrow. But yeah, the idea that the sample size is irrelevant because it's just me is like really faulty at its core. I don't really understand that because I'm also playing alongside 4 other people. So I know I don't constantly see their perspective every time they do a key on top of the one I just did with them, but I know for a fact that those 4 people had the same experience that I had. So it's not just me, you know what I mean? And if you think about it, I know not every run is with 4 new people, but let's just say on average, every run is with 2 new people. And we have like, I mean, we have to have at least like 10,000 runs on this channel at this point. Like, yeah. Okay. So that's a lot of fucking people, right? Anyway, in a community that barely even knows of their existence. This is like, I think he's just trying to insult me, but honestly, I think this is a good thing for me. I think it's a better thing because if like you were the top influencer in the game and you were trying to do this, it would be harder to take it serious, I think. Like the fact that it's like easy to say, all right, this is just a guy who cares about the game. Look, he doesn't have like, there's no like serious financial gain or like, he's not being influenced by, I think like if you were like the size of Asmongold or whatever, these like top influencers from years ago, it would probably be worse. It would probably be harder to do this. You know what I mean? So I don't think that that's like relevant. I think if the community did, like, the fact that they don't know of the existence is good, because then when somebody finds the video, they don't think it's like some like formulaic approach to making content. Another fake shooting. That's a crazy name. Potato is right. You got owned, old hipster dude. Just admit defeat. What does he write about? Because I've yet to find anything in my research, at least. Anyway, let's continue. Let me get you in there. Okay, anyway, let's continue. So we have, they live in delusion, steeped in the terror of becoming irrelevant, so they drama farm content in the comments and pretend to be the victim. Okay, I could see why people might think I live in delusion, but steeped in the terror of becoming irrelevant. I'm already irrelevant, right? And didn't we just say that? You just said I was irrelevant already in a community that barely even knows of their existence. I guess like the barely is the key word there. But yeah, I don't really care about that. Drama farm, valid criticism, but that's obviously not why I'm making the video. If I did, I would make videos like that constantly. And pretend to be the victim. Like, yeah, no, I'm happy to not be the victim here. I'm happy for you to be the victim, because it certainly makes this whole conversation easier. Have fun living behind a made-up scenario. I mean, okay, sure. Anyway, let's continue. Then people say they're responding to the fact that you just like chain 3 comments together, basically. Are you okay? Like, genuinely, dude doesn't even know what you're on about half of this video because you're inconsistent and want to do nothing but insult him. You insulted him from the start for no reason. Yeah, that was the craziest part. That second comment was the craziest part about this whole thing, because it was like, what the fuck did I do that you immediately respond with such hostility? I didn't say anything negative to the guy. But yeah, more of this kind of comment. And then he replies based on their profile picture. Yeah, we'll move on from that. But yeah, a lot of people are recommending that the person might have more problems than we realize. But then this guy is back. This is like the fake second person, which we don't believe is the second person. But he says he's the one tilted, making an hour-long video full of condescending remarks and an inability to understand English. And that's like what Painbow said. Like, it's the same argument from both people. So I think they could be very well likely two people and just friends. But it's extremely unlikely to me that it's anything other than that. It's certainly not two objective people. Like, there's certainly not two separate people that never met. But yeah, I wouldn't say tilted. I don't know where that word comes from. Like, I've not displayed, I've definitely not felt any tilt. That's for sure. Other than like the kind of acting up that I did when these fucking idiots are saying I've never pugged. So Tom he's funny. He's like, we know that's you, Potato. The new YouTube AI link profiles and shows us it's the same person using multiple accounts, which I think is just a bluff, because I've never heard of that. But what does Chick say? The only actual point I think they could ever make is that you don't do 2 to 8s all day and are segregated to higher keys. But even that only partially lowers the player bar towards his hyperbolic examples. Right, and he actually isn't making that point. He is actually saying that he wants there to be, he wants to be looked at as like a credible high Mythic Plus player. Oh, he's messaged me in Discord. What else gets said about this? Is somebody actually like defending him? I see people adding this person. Okay, we're in. It's real, right? Hello?
Hey.
Hey, man, how's it going?
It's going.
All right. So yeah, first of all, I want to apologize. I didn't mean to like be rude to you or say anything that made you upset. I can tell you're upset, so I just want to
Well, I
apologize.
wasn't nice either, so
Okay. I
it's
just
not
want to
really a
apologize.
big deal.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I figured since I've done so much on this topic already, I'll let you say whatever you want to say for as long as you want to say it, and then if we want to have a more direct conversation after that, we can.
Honestly, the real problem was just that you seem to have, as you said in your own comment, you don't have the ability to accept that there are a lot of players out there that have the complete opposite experience of you. It seems a little detached, and that's why it makes me feel like you seem to have been building a box for yourself, not an echo chamber, because that's a different problem. You seem to have curated this thing where you record your runs and you get good runs, you get some bad runs, just like most people do. But then you turned around and heard my version of the crazy, chaotic bullshit, as you could tell from the crazy, chaotic bullshit comment, that most of the people that I've ever encountered, which is way too many people with thousands of runs over the years between all 13 characters, okay? I have met too many of these people that do the same shit that that demon hunter did, but they're not just like making a mistake. And sometimes it's Blizzard's UI fucks up and doesn't display the right class or not the right class, the right spec. And then sometimes it's literally just nobody's fault except for Blizzard. Okay, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people that do this kind of shit on the regular. That run literally represents about 60 to 70% of my dungeon runs, successful or failure, irrelevant of whether we actually finish the dungeon or not. And it was beyond rude and kind of arrogant of you to assume that just because you have good times that nobody else has bad times, when I have the exact opposite experience. I don't go and tell you that it's absolutely untrue, all of your runs are trash, what are you talking about, everybody has trash runs all day. No, there's hyperbolic and then there's full of shit. You know, I
Yeah.
I was a raid leader for, like I said, like 16, 17 years. There's 3 different guilds, 2 Horde and 1 Alliance. And over the course of the past several years, we've lost everybody exclusively not to bad gameplay, not to shit runs, not to bad people in the game being assholes, to just, it's literally just people being one person. Okay, and I know this is going to sound absurd, but it's literally the one example that can be extrapolated to explain all of my other experiences with the just absurd levels of chaos that people want to throw into the game. Okay, I want to take you back all the way to Dragon Soul. Okay, I was doing a progression raid for Heroic. We were on Spine. We needed a new healer. There was no fucking way we were going to suddenly switch to a new healer in the middle of Heroic progression. We had somebody saved to normal Otraxian, right? The guy at the top of the tower. We had someone saved to him, so we all came in. We got this shaman. They said they could heal, and they kept trying to heal in fucking enhancement spec. So as a fair raid leader, I said, "Hey, what's going on? Why haven't you changed? Just real quick. Like, did you forget? Like, what's going on?" They're like, "No. I got this. I got this." They kept insisting. Half hour later, I'm about to choke this person through the microphone because they're very obviously not hearing anything anybody's saying. And then it just ends up where they get kicked out of the raid. I contact several other guild leaders across the server to tell them this person is intentionally trolling, probably avoid them, maybe give them a second chance. I don't know. That's just how we did shit back then, right? So this person decides to then make their whole life's goal to torture me and my guild. Okay, now this ended up becoming an FBI case. Okay, I have the paperwork in my office over here. This person, it got to the point where we had to find out in court that they had 27 different accounts. Literally 27 different accounts that they were running, often simultaneously. And what they were doing was going from zone to zone, following me and my guild members around, all because I kicked them out of the guild because they refused to switch to healer spec. The most basic premise in the fucking universe of the game. Like literally just the bare minimum expectation. Like we would have been okay if they healed and were bad. We can work with that. We can get you gear, we can get you educated, we can get you what you need. But when you refuse to just start, we can't work with that, you know? So it eventually gets to the point where this person is going zone to zone, stealing materials from mineral nodes from us with their bot accounts. They're going around from zone to zone, and they're like, oh my God, this guy over here is hacking and getting people to report people in my guild. They would go around, they'd go into trade chat. Somebody would be like recruiting from our guild and be like, wait, didn't you get banned for being a pedo? And then 7 of their other accounts would come in and report my person in my guild. And then all of a sudden, everybody in town thinks that my person in my guild is a pedo because 7 other people just jumped into the chat. Yeah, I heard about that. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's all the same one fucking person. So roll forward 2.5 years later, I have 35 guild members left. Okay. So I just started doing solo play for like, let's see, the last like 2 raids, the last 2 patches of Legion. And then Battle for Azeroth was next, right? I think I didn't even fucking bother with that. I got like 6 weeks into that, couldn't play it. I came back in Shadowlands. It was okay, I guess. And then came back in Dragonflight, full-fledged, started doing hardcore content, started doing my Mythic Plus, started trying to do everything that I could. I saw that green mage set gear for PvP. So what did I do? I went and I got a 2400 rating to get everything that I could. God, I fucking sucked. I could not get the mount though. But like I managed to get what I went for. I ran my dungeons, I ran my mythics, I ran my raids, I ran my PvP with whatever character I decided to do whatever thing with, because I had gotten to the point where I'm just playing the game now for me and to have fun. So it's led to, since Legion, me running everything from like Mythic 2 all the way to like Mythic 20s and up. From Legion across all of my different characters. So like you got like one character that's like Mythic 10 and like 3 or 4 dungeons, and then Mythic 10 and 11 and another, and like they're just all over the place. And then I got like one that looks like they literally never set foot in a Mythic Plus. It makes it look like I've never done anything, you know? But like that one player, okay, to circle back to the whole point of all these crazy chaotic bullshit people that I bump into on the regular, they are unprovoked. I can promise you, I could probably, if I got a hold of Blizzard, I could get you my chat logs. They are empty as fuck anywhere except guild chat. I only answer questions in trade if it's like somebody needs help. I don't go talking in there. I barely ever recruited ever at like towards the end because like everyone was leaving. So like I've been having a solo only experience since Legion. I've been doing LFR, I've been getting into some normal raids, I've been getting into a few heroic raids, but I've mostly been focusing on that Mythic Plus and PvP scene because like that's the perfect place to be a solo player. Like trying to solo player raid is tedious to say the least. But like that's kind of my experience of coming from all this is I have those 13 different characters where I'm running. Like there were days where I was literally running at least 40 dungeons in a day as fast as humanly fucking possible because we were just farming them out at that point. I have enough experience that I'm talking to you from the exact same standpoint that you are. I just have a shittier experience than you do, and that's it. And then you turn around and invalidated everything I said just because it came out all fucking weird because mostly text to speech, to be fair. But that was my bad. So like I do understand why there was some confusion, but like it felt pretty clear that the problem wasn't necessarily the video itself or the demon hunter. It was that that particular behavior is often just excused because nobody can tell if that person is doing it on purpose or not, so they just keep letting it happen. So this person keeps going into another group and another group and another group. Not to say that this person does that, but it happens enough in my experience, and again in many of my guild members' experience, with these people that just refuse to teamwork. They refuse to cooperate with anybody, and the second the dungeon turns even a little bit south, they just bail and fuck the key over for everybody involved involved. Everybody's got to go find a new group again. Everybody's pissed off. Nobody's recording their runs like you. That's like your career thing. Like, you made a choice, right? I don't have all that data. If you went and looked at just one of my characters, you'd see that it looks like I skipped like 4 expansions worth of raids and they did like a bunch of Mythic Plus for no reason. And then you see another character and it looks like all they ever have done is raids and never did Mythic Plus at all. So like, you're trying to get a whole picture out of my whole account when I've never logged, I've never recorded, I've never done any. Nobody has in my guild. Like, we were amateurs. Like, half the time at the beginning, like, they were struggling to get normal done. But then, like, we worked in on like Mythic Hellfire Citadel because we had like, what was that, 2 fucking years?
Yeah, it was long.
To practice Hellfires. Yeah, it was extreme, right? But and that's another point, is it was at that spot in the game where we kind of lost a lot of people that didn't want to come back, not because the game was bad for them or that they weren't getting what they wanted out of it, but because there had become, not everywhere, obviously, not universally, but there seems to have become more and more of a meta where people like just look on the forums. And again, we both know that's limited. Most players aren't even on the forums, let alone actually typing anything. So like, it is still a niche group, but then you compare that with people on Reddit, you compare that with people when you talk to them in the game. And of course, that's all anecdotal. People can just make shit up, obviously. But you can't always just run around pretending that everything somebody else says is just made up or doesn't fit your narrative because it doesn't make you feel comfortable or whatever. I don't know what the problem is, but that's what it feels like coming from when you say these things. It makes it feel like actually, it just kind of makes it sound like you don't understand the bigger problem that I was getting at, which was the community at large. And I'm not the only person. I just within this past week or so, I've already seen 7 different video creators who all do World of Warcraft content, all of which I've never seen before, like your content. Like I said, it wasn't like some sort of insult. I just literally had never seen your content before, so I had no idea what the fuck anything was. So like, part of your response was fair, and you're like, hey, that's not what we do. And I'm like, okay, I get that. But then like, you kind of went off the handle, sort of being condescending, and that's just automatically a no-go, especially since you're kind of the person in a position of power. You kind of have to be a little more responsible with the shit that you say and do, especially when you go and make an hour-long video about somebody just because they disagree with you and said some mean things. Because you already know that as nice as most of your audience has been, even to me, there are still way too many people in our community that are complete and utter shitheads. And that very much will and have already sent me threats. I have already reported them to YouTube because it's not even worth my time to say anything beyond this, You sent people after a stranger just because they disagreed with you on a thing that you just can't conceive of because you don't want to. It's what it seems like, at least. You don't want to accept the fact that a lot of people have a really shitty fucking time in running the game, and that's why we only have like 2, maybe 3 million subscribers from the what was it, like peak 16,000 subscribers or some shit like that. Like, and that's not fair to compare peak. It kind of plateaus after a point, but the point still remains: we have lost more people than we have ever retained. And there's a reason for that, and it's not really the game. The game has gotten a little more difficult, but most of that difficulty is on Blizzard's end because they're really shit at displaying mechanics. Like, you got 15 different green things on the floor. I don't like Asmongold. You got a fucking great point on that. That fucking tree bitch was the worst fight I've ever seen because everything's just green, green, green. It's all the same color. I don't know what I'm supposed to run in or out of the group. What are we doing? Fuck. Oh, no, everybody's dead. There we go. Game over. Now we got to reset. Like, that's bad game design. That doesn't make the game hard. That makes it impossible and more complicated, right? And then here's another weird thing for me, okay? Here's another problem that the community as a whole kind of seems to have. And I didn't know this was a thing until like a month ago. You know that channel, Talius and Evitel, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Even if you don't watch, okay? I sometimes do. I watched their video. They were talking about like reducing your add-on usage. And I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? Because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I know a lot of people use LVUI. I know everybody's using a damage meter. Everybody's probably using like some kind of bartender if they're not using, LVUI. They've got like 5 add-ons, right? I saw their fucking list and bros scrolling through like 300 different add-ons, and I'm like, nobody is even playing the game anymore. They've got weak auras pushing the buttons for all but pushing the buttons for them. They've got another thing telling them to get out of this fire and put this fire over there with DBM. They've got all these other fucking things. But then I compare that to my experience, which again, anecdotally is different, where I was raid leader all the way until Mythic Archimond, okay, without DBM. That's not like a brag. I just didn't fucking want it in there. It's just annoying. I learned the raid and I learned to just not do the dumb. I just learned to not be dumb, right? You eventually learn to just not do that kind of stuff and you get better and it just gets smoother. That's why a lot of people were saying that the game got easier a while back. It's just because everybody was good at the game now. It's not that the game was easier, it's just you got better finally. Like you got good and then everybody got mad, so then they made the game harder, and then now too many people are like, oh, the game's too hard, I don't want to play anymore. And it just kind of becomes chaotic, because then you circle back around to the fact, like I've said before, the trolls in the game are the core problem, because Blizzard would rather have them, as I've already seen through court, they'd rather have that person with 27 accounts slowly make Blizzard hemorrhage subscriptions over years, as opposed to snapping a finger and losing 20 to 30 accounts. That's why they do the bot ban thing. That's why they do it that way, is they'd rather just do it all in one big go, so that they never actually have to ban the players. They just let them come back and then pay them money again. And it just leads back to the cycle. That's why we have this inflation problem. That's another problem in the game. There's so many different things that are making people quit. And it all circles back to the toxic community that Blizzard can't do anything about, because they told us, instead of doing something about it, put blinders on. Because in their theory, eventually, if everybody's putting blinders on, the troll can't say anything because everybody's ignored them, right? But what about the new players that come in and immediately get trolled into fucking oblivion because there's nobody else in the chat to see the troll saying shit, because everybody has them on ignore. So now the bully just gets a private room with nobody to fucking help this other person. And it just keeps leading to more. I watched it live happening, of people bullying another person out of the game on Proudmoore, the like most gayest love, and I'm part of their community anyway, so like I say that affectionately. Just like their whole community is super social, but they're just fucking rude, and that's what happens. And then there's other servers, like Icecrown had the same problem too. Kel'Thuzad. Kel'Thuzad is famous throughout the whole fucking game for having some of the most obnoxious motherfuckers to ever walk the face of the earth on it. But yet, we still play with them, we still have fun with them, right? Because we know a lot of them are good players too. You accept a certain level of shit from people, but then there comes a point where that shit boils over and there's no one there to check the pot anymore, you know? There's no one there left to watch to make sure that this troll is actually getting held accountable for the crap that they say. All it takes is one person to bump into the troll and doesn't understand what's happening, or doesn't really grasp that they can just stop and ignore this person. That's all it takes for one more person to have a bad experience, and then they go and write a bad review to people and tell their friends, don't ever play World of Warcraft. And then their friends like, wait, I already played World of Warcraft. How'd you have a bad experience? That's rude. I don't ever want to play anymore either. And now you've lost 2 subscriptions because of a fucking troll. Instead of cutting the fucking head off the snake, like I said, they've let these assholes mutate into hydras, and they just keep biting fucking everybody on the wayside of the road, but everybody's got blinders on, so the people getting attacked don't even have anybody to help them. And it just keeps leading to that same cycle, because that same bullshit toxic mentality carries over into Mythic Plus, where people, like I said, one person dies because they did some extremely stupid shit, the whole run's over, your key is wasted, and you gotta go all the way back, start all over again. And for some people, it's fast. I've had fast groups too. I've had groups where I put up a key, 5 minutes, boom, filled out right at the entrance, everybody's ready to go. But that's the minority of my groups. The vast majority of my groups have taken an hour or two. That's why in like season 1, I only had 2 characters at max level, and only one of them had even close to acceptable gear. And then I had to really pump it. But like, because you can't get an invite if you're not perfect meta most of the time. I sat there for 2 hours most days trying to find a group, and that's during peak hours. As a disc priest, as a shadow priest, it didn't matter which one I went with. It didn't matter which difficulty I went with. People are like, oh, well, if you're a shadow priest, try for like a +7 or a +8. So I was like, okay, well, how about a +7? I tried +7, +6, +5, +4, +2, all the way fucking down. I tried +10. I was like, fuck it. Maybe I need to go even higher. Maybe I am a legend. Maybe I just don't know it. No, doesn't matter. If you're not the meta pick that group wants for that thing, you're never going to get an invite. And even when you make your own key, most of the people will take and look at your group and see, hey, wow, the group leader only has 3 dungeons done. Wow, I don't want to join that amateur hour shit. It's probably going to wipe. Now I'm stuck in a perpetual fucking loop of never finding a group. And that is way more common, I think, than you seem to be aware of. Like, I think it happens way more fucking often than anybody else even talks about, because what's the number one thing that somebody does when they get mad about it? They're either going to go to the forums and complain about it, where everybody's going to immediately be like, oh yeah, whatever, you're probably just dumb and they kicked you out of the group, aha, good. Or, as everybody has already done, like I said, they just completely ignore it and move on with their day and nothing ever changes. Very few people in the game seem to be actually able to help because, again, they have the chat turned off. So when there's that new player reaching out for a new, like, somebody to fucking talk to get help from, again, they're stuck in the box with the fucking troll hydras. They don't even get a choice to meet the good players until they find that good guild. And that's why I said to you before, you go look on the forums, all the new player advice. Some of the most commonly used terms in there is ignore, putting people on the fucking ignore list, or disabling chat entirely. That's not an exaggeration. That is literally like an almost standard piece of new player advice to get a good guild with people that you can actually enjoy being around, and then just completely turn the chat off because there's nobody there that's worth talking to, and they know that. So all the good guilds are completely out of the chat and are like invite only, and only if they ever fucking see your invite. And you get people like my cousin. Okay, my cousin, he has a warrior. He only plays Fury spec, but the dude literally has like a 2900 rating right now, I think. He is pumping out those Mythic Plus dungeons as hard as he can, and even then, like somebody whose only thing, he's like you, like all he does is like he runs his Mythic runs and he does that, and then he logs off. He tries to get at least 10 dungeons done in any day that he logs on, and then that's it. Nothing else, nothing more. Maybe he does a little bit of mining, you know? But even he is getting to the point of where it has taken him, I think on Saturday, he was telling me, we were on a Discord call for 4 hours. I forgot he was even playing WoW. I didn't know he was even fucking playing the game, because he's just sitting there waiting for somebody to join the group, and nobody will. No healer, no tank, no DPS will join the group. It's like, oh, is it the specific key? That shouldn't fucking matter. Somebody needs a +7, and fuck your gear. Come and join a fucking key. That's another problem in the community. Everybody's always so hyper-focused on trying to min-max their time and efficiency because the loot drop sucks so fucking bad for most people that, like, go to the fucking forums. Again, the most common complaint is they're like, wow, another week with loot vault of absolutely fucking useless garbage. Things I literally cannot have or have gotten twice in a row now. Like, it just keeps getting worse. Every patch, I hear more and more and more people complaining about the same problems, and then you turn around and fucking completely ignore it. Just because you have some recordings from some people that just happen to know, like, it's not trying to be an insult to you. It's not like I'm like, oh, small YouTube. Like, no, it's not even it. You have a niche community Okay, about people who actually care about like Mythic Plus runs and stuff. Okay, that's already a niche community. And then you filter that through the people who are actually going to watch the whole video and leave a comment, or maybe they'll actually go and record something, right? Let's say we got down to that. You keep getting through that filter and fewer people make it through to give you a submission to judge things off of, where you then put it your own personal filter of what you think is worth your time doing or not. And that just leaves you also in another position where you've put yourself in another box because you can't do anything outside of that because that's what you've done. It's just fucking circular at that point. And I don't even know what to say to you to help you with that because, again, it comes back to you not apparently being able to accept that other people, a lot of other people, have really crap experiences in WoW. And again, that's why we don't have that many people playing anymore. It's not because like, oh, we'll have responsibilities. I know motherfuckers that work 2 jobs that still find time to play WoW. It's not that. It's people don't have the motivation to make that time anymore because they don't have any reason. Because you go into a dungeon and it's bum rush from boss to boss to boss, from enemy to enemy to enemy. You never get a chance to say hi to somebody or talk to them or shoot the fucking breeze. And 90% of the people, at least that I fucking encounter, will not talk. So I've just stopped talking for like the past couple of years. Like all of the end of Shadowlands, I just didn't talk at all. I join a group. Hey, and then we start the group like 5 minutes later or whatever, and that's it. There's no socialization, there's no talking, and unless again you find that good guild, you're never going to get that either, because all the people that are fucking left in the chat are the trolls and new people and a handful of crazy people that just don't care about putting people on ignore lists. That's it. So Blizzard has basically created a giant den of snakes to fucking eat away at their new subscribers and then never ask the question why other people left. Don't you think that's kind of a silly thing to not ask that question? Because that's what you told me.
Yeah,
that's the first thing that everybody should ask. Why did 10 million fucking people leave? It certainly wasn't because it was a fun experience.
Yeah. Do you want me to reply to that specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I blathered for fucking ever. Feel free to.
Hey, first of all, let me have a little bit of the floor here. I want to say, first of all, brother, I'm so glad we got in Discord because your points actually make a lot more sense now. And everybody's saying whatever they want to say in the chat, but I actually totally understand your perspective now. It makes a lot more fucking sense. And I really, that story about the shaman, I'm going to say that I totally believe that. I actually do because I have ran into people who are spiteful for absolutely no reason in this video game. And
I get it because they were mad they got kicked out and like they got told on. So like nobody likes that. But what they did, no.
Obviously, it went way too far. And regardless of what the output was, I can see this. And the idea that I really like your premise here that like the general population just doesn't speak to each other anymore. I think, I've already talked about the idea that it's mostly just people ignoring like trade chat. I think in groups, people don't speak mostly because there's just nothing to speak about. I get it. Like, I wish there was. I really do wish.
Sometimes, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I wish there was. I wish there was more social. Like, and you may not know this about me, but I was also a raid leader from Wrath of the Lich King until the end of Shadowlands. And I miss those days too.
ICC Heroic was my first official raid leading. That was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, pretty much. I started in the beginning of Wrath, but we didn't take it serious until, ICC as well. But so I've had all the same experiences you're having. It's all so similar. It's actually, I'm so glad that we were able to talk about it because it's like so similar to me. But to me, like, I think the problem with the game is, like you said, there's a lot of people who've quit the game. And I agree that there has been a lot. But I think there's also a lot more people who have come to the game and who are now contributing to these problems. So this idea that there's kind of like no, I don't know, like that all the new players are coming in and they're just muting it. But I don't think this is true. I think what's actually happening is a lot of the people who are like contributing to the trolling or bad atmosphere of the game and the antisocial behavior, these are actually the new people in the game. And so this is why I said what I said about people quitting.
How so?
Well, hold on. Let me just say because okay, we
Yeah,
can we
yeah.
can talk about that specifically. So the reason I think that's the case is because the behavior and the players that demonstrate this behavior seem to be very like not compatible with what WoW's original goals were. Like,
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I've bumped into a couple of them. They wanted to try it. It feels like they kind of wanted to try the game that everybody's like, oh, it's been around for 20 years. It's this epic game, and then they get it, and that's not what they expect, so they kind of just half-ass it.
yeah,
Is that what you
and
kind of
then they're
mean?
bringing like weird mentalities from other video games, like like other
Yeah,
games that are already toxic, and they're coming into WoW, and they're bringing these predisposed biases towards the game, so they're treating other people with contempt before they even meet them, and it's just not the
that is
same
definitely part
people.
of the problem.
Yeah, it's
I
just not
agree.
the
Yeah.
same people that we grew up playing around. And I would say, that that is the majority of the people who are causing problems in the game are these newer players who are coming in and they're just kind of almost like, oh, well, how do you play this game? All right, well, this influencer told me how to play the game, so I'm just going to listen to every single thing he says. And now he's talking about how something's bad, so I now totally agree
Yeah.
with him. I think that's bad too. Well, you said it's wrong. Oh, I trust this guy more than you, so now we're going to get into a fight. It's like these behaviors didn't exist when the game was forming, and I think that's why it's gotten to be so problematic. So from my perspective on the idea that a lot of people have quit, this upsets me because the people who quit are the ones that could have pushed back against it. The people who have strong
Yeah,
opinions.
that's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. See, and then here comes the other problem, and it kind of slightly off topic, like with flight. It was always such a contentious topic for a lot of people, but when you really like looked at what was happening, it was really just a handful of people who were really inconvenienced because, oh, somebody swooped in and took my node one time out of 100. Whatever shall I do with my one less mithril? And then like go to the forums and cry, oh my God, you guys need to fix these drop rates. It's like the drop rates are fine. Flying isn't ruining your immersion until you fly too high and see how busted the map is. Like to me, with flight, it was always like you're the adventurer. You're the hero of Azeroth, or at least one of them. Why the fuck are you trotting around in the mud like a pig when you could be flying on a hippogriff or whatever and going around saving the day because you have bigger and more important things to do, right? That was kind of the whole idea of the roleplay of having flight in my head. But to them, it just became a problem. And I think that's kind of the same thing that you were talking about with the new players having a problem that they kind of invented on their own. And because you're right, it's a lot of the older players would be the people that would come in and kind of push back against that because they have the experience to go, no, we kind of tried that a little bit before, or no, when you work the math or you look at it, oh, it just doesn't work out. And the new players just don't know that because, like you said, they're just a lot of them are just coming in from a streamer, and their streamer is, God forbid, someone like Asmongold showing them how to be a rat like that. But like, it is, it's whatever it is at that point. Uh,
I totally agree. I think that
man,
is actually the biggest issue. And yeah, I agree that like yeah, the lack of veteran voice in these conversations is disheartening. And yeah, I've noticed that the most. I've noticed like the people like all the time in the videos when we get into arguments with people, you can always tell that these people have no legacy with this game. They're not playing it with passion. They're not truly in love with it. They're just playing it because I guess somewhere they learned that it was a game that was interesting. They interact with it like as superficially as humanly possible. Like all they care about is Mythic Plus score
yeah,
or
yeah.
parses or whatever their niche
That's
is.
what I'm
Like
talking about.
yeah.
There's too many of those people, and it ruins the keys for everyone. Like they freak out and have like a fucking panic attack because somebody died, and it's like, okay, well, this is probably like the 7,000th time I've died on this character. Can we fucking move it along? Let's go, dude. Like you can't freak out over every little inconvenience. We still have a dungeon to run, but they'll just leave. They won't even say anything. They won't even try to be like, hey, what can we do to make this better? They're just like, nah, I'll just go to the next key because everybody on the fucking forums keeps telling them, just make your own key, it'll go fast. And they're like, whatever, I'll just do another key and then ruin someone else's key. But then when they get in their own key, suddenly they want to be picky. Now they want you to be like 35 item levels above them. Yeah, you kind of bump into them a lot, or at least I do. I bump into them a lot where it's like they're like a 6'10 shaman, but they want somebody who's like 6'40 to join the group, but they can't actually set the item level limit because they don't meet it. So they just put the number in the description.
Hmm.
It's like, it's that seems to be very common to me, is a lot of people, not I shouldn't say a majority or anything, but it's a pretty common instance of running into those people too. They just
Yeah, the behavior I don't run into a lot, but the mentality I run into frequently. I would agree with that for sure.
yeah.
It's rare to see somebody who's like wildly unqualified for the key, trying to only find the people who you would think would be qualified. But you could see the
Yeah, that is
mentality
fair.
at its root. You see it in almost every player you pug with, and even I myself do it too. It's kind of inescapable because the game's set up the incentive structures in such a way that it's almost encouraged to be that way. And this is ultimately why I started doing what I do on the channel, because I like to have more of like a level-headed approach to these topics. I want people to feel like they're, actually grounded when they make these decisions, and they're not just like a fly-by-night person who's just like, oh, okay, I pick these people, run, run, run. Like it's supposed to be about decision making. It's supposed to be about something that actually makes sense for your group, something that should help you be the most successful you believe you can be. And not everybody should agree on that. Like if everybody says you should only play this one spec, you should only play this one way, that's just incorrect. That's just not how the real world works, obviously. Everybody's so wrapped up in
Yep.
like almost like the game being ran like a simulation that they can't actually realize they have opinions on what goes well too. So yeah, these things we all agree on. Like everything
Yeah,
that you said,
yeah,
we actually
no.
fucking
You're
agree on.
that last bit, absolutely. They don't know what they're looking at. I came to that conclusion. Okay. I told you I don't do logs, okay? But I did do logs exactly one time on one character. It was my disc priest, my first disc priest. I retired her, so I made a new one. Anyways, my retired disc priest, she stopped raiding with Mythic Nighthold, okay? I was healing Mythic Gul'dan at the end, and for some fucking reason, our Resto Druid died yet again. So I'm lying. I know exactly why they died. They stood in the meteor. So I had to heal off the last like quarter of the boss by myself. And that was the day when I was like, this is where I gotta start doing logs. So I started logging. I didn't tell anybody because we normally don't. Like we're pretty casual, even though we were doing harder content a lot. So I just wanted to know my place. I didn't care about anybody else's logs. I just took them out of that and put mine and compared it to the other disc priests. Okay, and I was like the top 15 percentile, which isn't like really that impressive, but looking at the numbers and then comparing, like you can go onto other places and you'll hear these people compare their own numbers, like a comparison like spreadsheet kind of thing. I don't even know if they have it anymore, actually, now that I think about that. But anyways, it used to just be like this little like external website that people would go from places like Raider.io or Warcraft logs and stuff, and they'd put their own stuff in there and like compare the data between their own personal runs because the website wasn't always updating and it wasn't always the most accurate, so people would like keep their own backlog. Anyways, I would run into a lot of people that would use their logs but not know how to read the data. I I'll be real. I'm pretty fairly educated, if I'm going to be completely honest. But that doesn't. I'm not like genius or anything. But I could tell enough that the amount of data that their combat logs give is fucking phenomenal, and it can tell you every mistake that you made along the way, and it's beautiful. But most people don't know how to fucking read it. Like
I agree.
they like I had a guy fight with me because he thought that absorbs don't count. I'm a fucking disc priest. What do you mean absorbs don't count? Eat my asshole dry, dude. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Not absorb stuff? Like, the whole point of disc priest is to put a bubble on before they take the damage to just pretend like it never happened in the first fucking place. Like, that's how I play through it, and then play on with the trickle healing through atonement and all that good shit. And like,
Yeah.
this kid just does not get it. But that's sorry. It's just circling back to that same point. It's just people don't understand the logs, and that's what makes me mad because so many people are expecting you to start logging things now. There was like a whole big debacle on the forums a month ago. I can't say I've ever signed in since I quit, but I look on the forums and I read what people say nowadays because I just like to know. There's just like this constant public debacle happening right now with there's some new add-on that's supposed to be like Raider IO plus for like Mythic Dungeons, and people are like, "Oh, great! Now we just have another fucking gatekeeping add-on for everybody." And I went and looked at it, and it really is. But the thing is it's just giving people like kind of a rudimentary and almost uninformed view of their stats. It doesn't look very good, and it puts too much emphasis into the same problem that we already have of people worrying more about parsing than doing the mechanics and making sure we don't all die. Uh, so it was a really weird thing to look at because it's exactly what people are saying. It's literally just another gatekeeping measure for Mythic Plus, and it's really not a good thing because, like, I know for a fact the default UI for finding a group is everything you fucking need. It gives you that person's item level. It gives you their dungeon rating so that you can be like, oh, they've got a 1500, or I guess actually I don't know their fucking thing anymore. 1500 used to be like you could do like plus sevens or whatever, but now plus seven is like the new 20 or whatever the fuck with all the scaling they did. I don't remember the whole system, but the like it just turns into a mess every time. That's what I'm getting at there. It's just a mess every time. And it leaves everybody else blind because then the new players don't want to take the time, often, they don't want to take the time to learn this stuff. And then they just use their logs, worry about their parse, and then just fuck everybody else. And I look good. And then they just keep getting invites. But then all the people that are just trying to play the goddamn game and actually be good at the game just kind of get left out a lot. They still get invites. Obviously, I still got some shit done. But like I said, it often would take hours to get into a group, whether I made the group or not. It didn't seem to have any overall impact in my overall experience from season one compared to like all of Dragonflight. And it just like it made me nauseous a little bit. Like I didn't want to play anymore for the first time, literally ever. I just like didn't want to play. I didn't like Battle for Azeroth, so I didn't play. I wanted to play. I just didn't like it, so I didn't, you know? And like that's it. But like too many people would see that and be like, "Oh, you just stopped playing." It's like, "No, I just didn't want to waste my energy. Like I didn't like anything to do with the expansion, you know?" And then but people don't see that and they're like, "Oh, you're not even a real fan." And I had people in my own guild try chewing me out because of that. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like I'm still subscribed. I'm just not playing. I would log in occasionally on like my little 19 character, my little twink hunter that I go and do some stupid PvP with. But you know that also took 3 hours because you know twink bracket. So uh, I don't know.
I
I just say
sympathize,
it's
man.
like too many people.
I can tell
Oh,
you have
sorry.
extreme passion for these topics, and I'm really glad that we were able to talk about them because I can tell that a lot clearer than when you typed about it. And this is what I was hoping to see
Yeah,
in the first
text to
place.
speech and short comments. It was a mess. Yeah, but
But in terms of like the actual, like I don't know, was there anything that like you definitely wanted to address? Like we went on the long rant there, but was there anything like
yeah.
specifically that
It,
you wanted to hear from me?
I just kind of wondered why you were so adamant about thinking that like nobody ever like I get that I was being hyperbolic and you were mostly objecting to that, but is it really that hard to conceptualize that a good chunk of the players aren't having a good experience?
Yeah.
And
So
that like a lot of it's exclusively from the community that they're a part of?
let's talk a little bit about that. I think the idea that okay, so let me like walk down like a tightrope here and say that I will
Yeah.
definitely agree that there is a lot of toxicity in the video game. It's not zero, okay? So we'll say that. I will agree
Of
that a
course.
lot of people have bad experiences in the video game. And I will agree that the way the game is played nowadays is going to be very off-putting for many players, especially people who are unaware of how to kind of climb that social ladder and kind of put themselves in a position of success within the video game. But the reason
Yeah.
I was so adamant about this all is because to me, in order to have this problem solved, we have to be objective about it. We have to be realistic about it, and we have to use, I would say, facts on this topic to try to get Blizzard to do something about it. This is the thing that's always bothered me the most: is how many people who seem to be off put by it or one way or the other upset about it, they tend to just let it continue to happen. They just either leave the game or they just, I guess,
Oh,
like,
but see, there's the thing. I did do that. That's why I told you. That's why I cannot. I have to go into the armory and specifically search my characters. When I log on to my account, I cannot access any of my characters because I left that really long-winded post with a lot of bullet points explaining how I quote the many ways that Blizzard hath done fucked up because it was extensive. There's a lot of things that they could have been doing to fix the game to make things better. And you know what they did? They actually listened to some of that, but then they banned my ass from the forums. I don't know if I can post on there ever again. So, and here's the kicker, okay? Normally they don't give a fuck when people quit anymore because they just it's just gonna happen. They're at the point where I just don't think they care. Literally, I don't think they care anymore. I think they're just trying to retain whatever they have. So they're kind of just doing everything they can to make sure it doesn't get fucked up. But sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
well, in terms of the forums, I will say that I was intimately associated with it, and to some degree still am. And I know that usually you would get banned only for something that was in some way insulting and in some way
Oh,
offensive.
that's what I was talking about. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. But that's the thing, is it was rude and offensive, specifically at Blizzard. I even called out some of the specific developers who were in charge of the specific problem that was causing a problem for like thousands of people, like bug reports. Like you go in, there were, I think they were telling us that there were actually thousands of people reporting that that seagull barred, whatever, the fucking giant beetle, the winged beetle mound in those caverns, the big one with like arms and shit, like that's the one that spawns from the rare. That there were thousands of people that were like, it's supposed to be like a guaranteed drop thing because that's what Blizzard said. And then like they just weren't getting anything. They weren't getting loot. World bosses weren't dropping loot. Like people just couldn't play the game and get what they were trying to actually work for. So like they would like end up at the end of the week with nothing in their vault because they couldn't get anything out of it. Or if they did get something in the vault, it was just the same thing that they had the week before and then the week before. Some of them had 4 weeks of repeats of the exact same items at the exact same item level and everything. Like there were so many problems that Blizzard could have been fixing, and they didn't. And then I added all of that to the years of other problems, the FBI case that had to get involved, which they can't even get mad at me because I'm free to talk about all that as much as I fucking want now. And honestly, they can suck my ass on that. They really let this fucking person go for years doing this crap. Like I could only imagine how many subscriptions this one person cost Blizzard. Also, they didn't lose them at once, like because that looks bad. It looks suspicious. It puts a blip on the radar for them, and they don't like blips. Blips are bad. Like, because like, and that's the
I
other
agree with
problem.
you
Is
that it
everyone
does
forgets
seem
they're a
that
corporation.
I agree with you that it does seem like they prioritize multi-boxers and people who are willing to put like hundreds of dollars a month into their game. I don't fully understand why. Have you thought about like why they allowed them to do that?
Like I said, I think it's specifically just because they lose one subscriber. That's not a big deal. You lose 3 subscribers, that's not a big deal. You got one guy who's got like 2, maybe 3 accounts for some reason. That's not suspicious that they quit playing for a little bit and they come back, they quit. They have a pattern, and I know they know some of this stuff. I don't know all the specifics because I don't fucking work for them. But there's a general vibe about it, and they know it. But when they lose like 30 subscriptions or 100 subscriptions because they had to get rid of a bunch of bots, that's a huge chunk of their money that they're not going to be making for the next 6 months. That's why they never actually ban a lot of these bots and players and stuff. Is not only is it not worth it, but like it's really, but that's the other thing that's weird about it, because like wouldn't it make them more money to ban them, to make them go buy a new account? Or is it just not worth the resources to them? Because again, the amount of money that they'd make from losing that many accounts, subscriptions for 6 months, I guess is more loss than they would take from them having like it's not the same amount from buying new copies, I guess. I don't know. I don't know the financials. I'm not that good with that kind of shit, but like it just seems like they're more worried about not losing a big chunk of subscribers at once, because it looks bad to the investors when they're like, oh yeah, well last month we lost 100 subscribers, but then like a week later we lost 10,000 subscribers. It's like, well, what the fuck happened there? But if they lost 10,000 subscribers over the course of like a year or two, it doesn't really look all that suspicious. Nobody asks a whole lot of questions about it. Is that very conspiratorial? Yes. I have no fucking clue. But that's kind of how it feels like with it.
Yeah, I see what you said. I
feels
think it's got to be more deep than that. There must be something more to it
it
than that.
probably is.
I think it might be that maybe they even like fear, like, because you said this guy was very retaliatory for no reason, right? Like, it might even be that they just don't want to deal with that fucking guy. You know what I mean?
That's part of it. And
Yeah.
I in the case, sometimes they tried using the excuse that they were trying to build evidence, but I'm like, you already disclosed in court that you had like 5 years of evidence before that. You just didn't want to do anything because they had 27 accounts. And that causes a blip. They're like, why did this one person lose 27 accounts? Because then they have to answer, why did one person even have 27 accounts? And in court, we find out this person, she is absolutely fucking batshit insane. Like I said, she tried to dox some old grandma in Pennsylvania who ran a daycare, who had nothing to do with any member of any part of my guilds, okay? Not one person knew who this lady was. They weren't like someone's extended family. They were not related to us or anybody in the guild in any way, shape, and or form. They are the worst fucking cyber criminal because they just doxed some innocent grandma and then went on their Facebook page for their daycare and accused them of being a pedo. And it fucking worked. They had to close the daycare down. And even though now nobody believes what was told, but it still sets that fucking icky thought in everybody's head to think that the woman that they've been trusting for 50 years to watch their kids might, maybe, potentially have a little bit of truth to the fact that they might have been doing something to the kids. And that's just enough to fuck their life over. But they did that, and Blizzard just let this shit keep going. And they never did anything about it. And that, I don't, honestly, that's the fucking unhinged thing. I kept playing. Why the fuck did I keep playing after that?
That's a good question.
I
So
felt
what,
like
what do
that
you
was a
think?
pretty...
Yeah, like if you were that upset by
I
it, why
think
did you keep playing? What was the reason?
because they didn't do anything about the player. They just let them keep playing the game. So I had to go on this is where even I admit it was crazy, but it fucking worked. Blizzard says don't fight fire with fire, but I did. I kept fucking intentionally antagonizing them all by myself because I told everybody else to get the fuck out of the guild because clearly it just wasn't part of it anymore. I'm not going to drag them through that. But I had, because like this person is just going to keep going into the game and hurting people. And eventually it did get to the point where Blizzard just permanently banned them. And I don't even know if an IP ban is possible, but I'm sure that they were going to do whatever the fuck they could to make sure this person never comes back, because I got 3 whole servers with the people to fucking despise this person because I just kept pointing out when they were full of shit and being like, hey, this is literally the same thing this person said like 2 days ago. Here's the fucking screenshot. Imgur, there you go. Fucking data, bitches. Suck my ass. This person's trolling. They have 27 different fucking accounts. Keep reporting them. Get them the fuck out of the community. We cannot handle this shit. Like, nobody needs to come in and pay to play a game where they're just going to get verbally abused by a stranger for literally no fucking reason. And again, you just be like, oh, just put them on ignore. But then that just makes them move on to the next victim and the next victim and the next victim. And not everybody is smooth enough to just go, oh, bye. Most people engage because most people are fucking human. And it just keeps building up. But that's the thing. It's like, how many other fucking people are like that out there? I will call them out in a fucking heartbeat. I don't care what anybody says. That little shithead, Sendrin, is a little Drakthir, okay? I've known them for like a decade. They don't remember me. I was a role player on the Silverwing Sentinel servers and on the Emerald Dream. There are like 3 people who know me. my main character was I was role playing as like a druid who would use shape shifting for like parties, like a clown, you know, like a party clown, but like magic and shit, real magic. So like that was just my role play, and so like I was adventuring around the lands trying to find places to like perform and do. It was stupid, right? So like nobody knew who I was. I wasn't talking to a bunch of people all the time. So I was in their guild. This was my third guild, the one that nobody else knew about. This fucking psychopath was in our Skype way back in the day. They were in our TeamSpeak. They were in our Discord. And on Discord is where I fucking got them because they keep a literal spreadsheet list. And I sent it into Blizzard. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't even care anymore. I sent them in the spreadsheet showing all of them. They have a list of all of the people that they have gotten permanently banned from the game because they have a friend that works at Blizzard who they can just email. I'm not kidding you. It's not a joke. It's not a conspiracy. Like, it's fucking absurd. The lengths that some of these people in this game will go to troll other people. This person will go on the forums and they will start a fight with themselves on their own account by replying to their own comment on another account that's also them just to start shit. And then they'll have their third account come in and defend the first person and be like, oh, why are you being so mean? Oh, they're just saying this. But then like they're intentionally trolling everybody involved, and they get at least one person banned for every forum post they put down. And nobody fucking knows it. Because they just live on their server. They don't ever talk to anybody. They don't ever do anything. But in their Discord and their guild chat, they are a dirty, filthy, fucking lying ass troll. And again, I was in their guild for several years. I had so many fucking logs to fucking give to them to show them. Like, just look at their logs. Just look at their logs. Just look. Just fucking look. They're doing it. And they still haven't done anything, I bet. I guarantee you, they're still probably going on the forums right now, shitting in everybody's mouth like it's breakfast. Like, they don't care. And again, like I said, it's gotten to the point of where some of these people actually do have real friends that work in Blizzard that can get them favors occasionally. And that's not good. I called them out on the forums, which of course was a bad thing, and that's the second time I got actioned, which is probably what they made with like the final straw, now that I think about it. Or they're like, you made this long post, temporary ban, then you're being an asshole like a week later, permanent ban. It was probably that, now that I go back to think about it. But they deserve it. I'd rather get banned off the forums for a little bit, or even permanently, even if it means just getting rid of one more of these fucking assholes, because they ruin it for everybody around them. They're getting other people banned from the game. They're home away from home. There are some people where World of Warcraft actually literally is their second life, because like they're in a fucking wheelchair, or they're just depressed, or this or that reason, whatever reasons they have. Like I know that experience myself. I have fucking lupus. I used to play too much. Like I said, it was never a brag. It's not like, oh, I've played way more. It's not a good thing. It's very unhealthy. So like, it's just like, these people don't understand how much of the game that I get to see, because there's times where I'll be like sitting in town for like 2 hours waiting for a group, and I just get to sit there and watch these fucking people trolling anybody that comes along.
Yeah.
And you know, I learned the best way, the absolute best way to fight any actual troll is to just write one simple line. Does nobody love you in real life? Is that why you come here to get negative attention from strangers? And then just leave. Watch them fucking lose their mind, and then you win. Because then they say some really horrible shit. You report them, they get in trouble, because that's what they keep doing every fucking time they come into the chat. It's all about accountability. Nobody would be mad at them if they were just being a normal fucking person in the chat. No one would be having a bad experience if they just shut the fuck up. But instead, Blizzard lets them keep going and doing that shit, and it just creates, like I said, the snake pit. It just creates a more compounded issue, and it just keeps getting worse. So like,
Yeah.
I don't
So
even like what would you suggest that they could even like do about this kind of stuff?
I'm glad you asked me that question. So this is actually something I'm infinitely like I spent a lot of time thinking about this. Okay, and it's just all
Yeah.
within the context of pugging Mythic Plus, and it's
Of
a lot less aggressive. Like I'm not like interacting with people who are doing the things you're saying they're doing, but I am interacting with people that I wish were not part of the system because I believe they're making it worse. And so I think your approach is admirable. I respect the passion that you have for it. But
it's
I
a little
think
over the top though.
yeah, exactly. Okay, good. You even admit it. So I think it is definitely over the
Yeah,
top,
I know.
and I think the thing about
But
it
when
is
they
though
don't
is
do anything the first time.
right, but I think the thing is that you could have an impact on this topic if you approached it a little bit better and a little bit more neutral. And like you said,
I tried that for years.
yeah, but so you
I
said
tried that
that
with this troll, and they just don't care. Like I had to get in, I got in chat with a GM in game. That like it wasn't like they showed up or anything. It was just a chat message. But like they just started talking to me about the problem again with this person with the 27 accounts because it all circles back to this. Like, how do we deal with these people that are constantly being a drain on every part of the game? And they couldn't really give me a real answer to it, but they have something in system in their thing that they used to do when like the GMs would show up in game where they would kind of like just make you invisible to other players, not really muting you, but like no one can see your chat. You can type all you want, but it'll just look like everybody's just fucking ignoring you. It's literally like the silent treatment, but without actually silencing anybody. And they actually used to do it a lot. Because like, and nobody fucking noticed, because that's the whole point. You just think everybody's ignoring you, and you kind of feel like shit for a minute, and you have time to reflect on what you've done. And now Blizzard doesn't have to sit there and make you feel specifically bad and hate them. It's literally the most neutral way of handling the problem from the perspective of a company. You know, I get that fucking cold logic a lot better than most people seem to. Uh, they they're kind of ruthless with that stuff. They don't care. If you fuck around with their money, that's when they get mad, and that's why they banned me. Like I said, because then the funny thing is the first response from them about that. I'm on a totally different topic. I'm gonna shut the fuck up. Sorry. But yeah, I just don't know what to do about it. I really don't, because fighting fire with fire was the escalation. I tried the nice normal way for years to try to actually solve the problem, going into the forums, advocating, just asking people, what do you think we could change about this? And then trying to make like a bulleted list, a compounded list of these changes that players had come up with that seemed to actually work and like put them as a proposal, like just actually being professional and handing Blizzard a thing to look at with information and to just have something to hold on to instead of just this vague nebulous wah I'm mad like most people tend to do. Like I really did try my best to try to get it through, to talk to people, to explain to them without like calling people out by name to let them know this person's a dick. Like I just wanted to like talk to people about accountability in game because that's huge. Like there's because it's the same thing in real life. There like a lot of people don't realize like because they don't raid much. A lot of people don't raid. It's like more people do Mythic Plus from my experience, you know. So like a lot of people don't have the same experience that probably you and I had of like raid night was like this really big thing. A lot of people would log in like an hour early. They're all chatting and excited. Everybody's getting their flasks and food ready and shit and fucking yelling at the healer. Where the fuck's the healer? God damn it, somebody call the healer. Or are they fucking late? An hour early. But like they don't have that same experience because more people from everything I can see are using LFR and then only sometimes going into harder content. Which that's not the problem. It's just the fact that they don't have that experience of like that camaraderie, that understanding that because it's the same problem you have in real life. We're all fucking stuck in this shit together, so it's kind of better if we work together as much as possible, as often as possible, even if you disagree with somebody. Like it's an easier thing to focus on something you can both agree on and work on a solution than it is to try to come up with a solution on your own and just be constantly antagonistic to everybody else's solutions. And that's what I felt a lot of people were doing in the forum. So like I wanted to like make it clarified to just get it out there, but it just doesn't take because everybody's response is always, "Oh, you're probably the troll." No, I'm just trying to make it known. Like, I don't talk unless I need to. Like I said, I don't talk much in game. I never have. Until I had to fucking fight that stupid son of a bitch for like 2 whole years straight, I never talked. So like it was weird to hear people automatically just assume that I'm the bad guy in my own story because I'm like trying to just deny responsibility somehow. But it's like you don't know the story, so how would you know that? You didn't listen to what I said, so how would you know? Not you, the metaphorical them you. Like they didn't read it, they didn't listen, they commented with something that clearly shows they don't listen, and then they expect things to change, but nothing ever does. And it's the same thing as like when people say vote with your wallet. What they mean, and that's why Blizzard doesn't like people doing this, and that's why they're so harsh, and they kind of get mad at you posting about why you're unsubscribing. And not only is it because it's annoying, nobody cares, uh, but it also makes them look bad because it gives you a chance to vote with your wallet and make it publicly known that you have taken that conscious effort, that intentional step forward to tell Blizzard to eat shit, change the fucking game, or we're never coming back. Sure, you might just be one person, but sending a message to multiple people, more people might join that cause and might agree with you and be like, oh, wow, this person's really doing something. And like, that actually makes sense. They're not coming in here being an asshole. They just tell you what's wrong with the game and then just leave. Like a fucking grown up. Wow. And sometimes it works. I've gotten a few things. I shouldn't say it was a community effort. Everyone was complaining about it. So like, but like it comes through that same kind of effort. But like, how do you get people to do that? How do you get people to work together in game when the mentality is rush, 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 rush in everything? How do you build a community of people when nobody can talk?
I get it. So, do you want to hear because, dude, we have such similar experiences on this, and I've learned a lot about it over the years.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's my point. It's like, like I said, like I never doubted that you had a lot of good runs. I've had good runs playing, like my Druid. I've had a lot of good runs, but then I also remember Pandaria. I went like almost 6 months straight without any fucking natural loot rolls, so I had to grind rep to fill in some slots. That was fucking bad. But then, like, that same expansion, same time, same day, I'd go on my hunter, drop, fucking, I got best in slot bow for day one of the expansion. What the fuck? Oh, shit, yeah! Like, well, best in slot dungeon. But
let's talk a little bit about the actual, like, way I've handled this over the years, because I think it's really good to think about this. So like I said, we were talking about the dungeon specific topic of people being bad actors that I wish to point out, right? And so you could try to do this in ways that might get you, banned from the forums. You can do it in game, and these are places that you would think would be good places to go because there's other people there. The players are there, right? But unfortunately, Blizzard has, their oversight on these things to the point where they don't want it. And like you said, I agree with your general topic on why they don't want it. But regardless, they don't want it. So we can't do it there, unfortunately. It's not productive. It puts us in a position where we actually look worse. And then, like you said, the people who are kind of running this conversation are then going to try to suppress your conversation so you look like you're talking to nobody. I've seen this all happen many times, and it's actually eerily similar to my time on the forums as well. So instead, what I did was I made the YouTube channel. And I can see that you have the same passion for these topics as I have, and you're probably far more passionate than I am on this topic. So I would really, really encourage you to get this all out on videos and make content on YouTube about this stuff. You have a natural ability to speak. I mean, people are, obviously you're long-winded, but like it can be beneficial because people will get, they'll learn from your stories and they'll care about you as a person. And then when they do, you're able to make your point clearer to them. So there's no, it's not time to give up on this topic. If you're truly passionate about it, there's also options above the video game where people do come in and listen, and it can help. And that's what I've tried to do here. I've just tried to demonstrate the reality of the game, whether or not it's people trolling or even being friendly. Like one of the two. It's like they get to see everything. I document everything. Every single thing is on the spreadsheet. There's no nothing biased about it. It's just exactly what happened. It's there, and then they can view it. And I hope that giving that documentation will help alleviate this concept where a lot of people go on these forums or on Reddit or even, even on YouTube too, and they kind of only rant about things that are bothering them, and it's not like productive in the way that if they're being truthful, right? And this is kind of how this argument between you and
Yeah,
I started,
exactly.
because I couldn't tell if you were being truthful. I didn't like believe, I think the stats are, even if you believe them to be true, it's difficult to trust like an even number of 80%. Like it's not a
Of
productive
course, of
way to
course.
have a conversation. And that's what kind of screwed this all up from the start. But
But
if you,
that's the other thing. A little in my defense, 90% of my comments never get read by the person that is like uploading the video, and it just gets ignored because it's another comment. So I never anticipated that you'd ever even see my comment, let alone read or respond or do anything about it.
yeah.
So uh, that's a big
Well,
difference.
that's why I said you
So
came to the right place, man. Because this is the right place. It really is the right place for this conversation. And there's not a
yeah,
lot of
you
people
seem to
out
actually
there.
want to talk,
Right. Yeah. There's not a
despite
lot
what
of
I
people who
thought
actually
before.
want to
So
talk. They're going to try to pretend
it's
they
a
do.
hard topic.
Yeah, yeah, it is a really hard topic, and I think it's just the way the game works. Like people are just inundated with all the different shit that goes on in the game now. The game itself has presented so many different ways to play the game that if you're passionate about Mythic Plus, PvP, and raiding all together, you almost can't have just one focus anymore. They all kind of loop into each other.
That's fair.
Yeah, and so
They
it's like
do, yeah.
that's why I try to be so focused on Mythic plus pugging here. Like that's why what the things that were being said about me was so offensive, because you guys are making this assumption that I don't do what I'm saying I do when it's actually the only fucking thing I do. You know what I mean? It's the right place for the conversation for that reason. So I would really recommend you think about that and maybe make your own channel or your own content or whatever you want to do on that topic. And I would love to see
I
how it
just
plays
mostly
out.
upload chaotic bullshit,
Yeah,
so
well,
I'm
that
not a
could be
YouTuber
useful
or
too, but
anything.
as long as it's chaotic bullshit on a specific topic that you believe is helping the community improve, then it's worth your time. And it feels like you are, you're getting that almost like a therapy session out of that. And that could be really helpful. That's what I do too with a lot of my videos. Just rant on something that you're upset about or that you're passionate about, and you'll feel better. And people will see that catharsis come through the screen. They'll feel better, and it will resonate with some of them to the point where it may eventually make an impact on the game. And that's kind of how this all comes back to our original argument. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to keep people talking about the reality, talking about the actual day-to-day thing. And like I said, I definitely recognize that there are people out there running into trolls or overtly negative people, or people like who are, dominating conversations like you suggested with all the accounts and all that stuff like that. This definitely happens in the video game, but there's a far more specific issue with the game that I like to try to address. And that's just the whole, like, the mentality and the pugging culture that we've kind of gone into. So the thing that really confused me was when you were talking about the video itself that I published, because you could have made that comment that you made originally on any other video on this topic, and I probably would have totally, it would have went totally different. But because you made it on that one video that actually wasn't about that, it was just funny. It was just strange. Like I get your point that guy, that you might think that guy was actually doing that, and he was getting
Oh
away with
no,
doing
I
that.
have no idea. He was probably just like fucked up because Blizzard's bullshit. Like I wasn't saying anything about them. I'm saying that particular behavior often gets excused because people can't tell if it's a genuine mistake or if they're just being a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's
it just spreads the behavior, and then like other people know that and use that to their advantage and then do it. And it sounds like it's niche, but like with how many failed keys I had in season one alone, I kind of can't help see any other fucking view. So
Yeah, I feel you. And so
that,
that I was like that too. I was like that too. And then I started the spreadsheet, which is a template that anybody's allowed to
yeah.
use. I give this out for free because I want that conversation to be more measured, where you think like, you sit there and you remember the negatives. Like even that guy from Cataclysm, right? Like you're still remembering that vividly and passionately like 10 plus years later, or that's like
Yeah.
14 years later, you know? So these things stick in your brain, and
Yeah.
to the point where it's almost hard to divorce them from whatever actually might be happening day to day, where, you know, there's actual topics here that can be brought to Blizzard's attention and can be made around, like, you know, this is an important topic. We need to address it. But if everybody's just like, oh, you know, the one bad thing really ruined my whole perspective on it, then, you know, Blizzard can't action that. And you've made a good case for why they don't want to action that. But regardless, they just can't action it because it seems almost like it's almost ethereal in the way that you don't know for sure what's real and what's not between these two people. So then all of a sudden you're kind of expecting the company to just go deep into every conversation that happened, like you and that evoker guy you're talking about. Like who knows, you know, what they would want to action out of that. But that's why they don't, because it's like almost impossible to believe that both sides could be right or wrong about it. Like one person is the person you'd expect to be action in that case, but they would probably just end up actioning both because they couldn't decipher who
Yeah.
really was the actual aggressor there, you know? So yeah,
Yep.
and this is what I mean about this
You know,
topic.
it's
Like,
funny is I was okay with that.
yeah,
After the first time they actioned me and shit, I just kind of got sick. I was like, whatever, I'll just do whatever I want then. I'll fight everybody at this point. Anytime somebody came along, it worked. I'd get in trouble a couple times after that, but like it was never an action. They just tell me to stop doing that shit. They just send me a nasty email. It's like, why bother? It's like, because then it makes me feel like that's their way of saying, hey, we kind of agree with what you're doing, but can you please fucking stop before we have to actually action you? And I just kept pushing it, which, fuck them. I'm not gonna. Like I said, it's not just a game for a lot of people. It's, and you know that. It's a home for a lot of people. It's their secret little place where they can just go and be who they would like to be. They can go role play or whatever. So to me, it's akin to like, I don't want to use the term soul rape, but like you're fucking their essence up. You're hurting these people in a way that they thought they were immune to here. You know, you're taking away their little bubble of safety, and to me, that's beyond fucking criminal. They should not be allowed to even keep playing the game when they do that to people. You're just done. You get one time, you get a fucking warning, do it again, get the fuck out of the game. You're just pissing in everybody's Cheerios, and nobody likes pissy Cheerios. Maybe. I don't know. Probably somebody.
yeah.
But again, that's really what it is. It's just, I just wish people would stop pissing in everybody's Cheerios because it makes everybody really sour, and then everybody's hangry, and we can't accomplish anything because everybody's chewing each other out over the slightest little mistakes.
Yeah. I agree totally, man. I see it all the time, and I wish things were different. And,
Hell, I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of that, but like there's a couple of times where it's just like you kind of just lose your patience with the motherfucker, and it's just like, why do you even exist in this game? Please go play it. But like you can't say that, so you just try to be nice about people with stuff like that. It's like, I feel like I've spent an equal amount of time shitting as I have trying to actually help people out and like get them to learn how to play the game. Because like I said, I've played every class, and like that's why, like, if you look at my characters, you'll see the most sporadic raiding and dungeon history, where it's like I've got one character with vanilla raids and one character with BC raids, and it's like, because I would just be whatever fill we needed, and we almost never needed a DPS, so I just kind of ended up being a healer all the time. So I would have DPS off spec. I'd tank a lot of the time, especially as druid. I love tanking as a druid. So like I have, I guess, maybe a wellspring of information, like 20 years of playing every class, even the ones I didn't fucking like Paladin. Like I still managed to get my Paladin into a heroic raid in at least 4 of the 5 expansions that I actually played my Paladin in. Like, and then everything else was Mythic Plus because I really liked healing. So Holy Paladin's like absolutely the best. I love it.
Yeah. Cool.
The class can eat shit though. But anyways, yeah, it's just like that's what I always wanted to do if I was ever gonna make a YouTube channel, was to share that kind of knowledge. Like, but that's just like, where do you even start with that? But like, I like your idea of maybe putting out some videos about like the specific instances and the kinds of observations that we've kind of discussed here to
Mm-hmm.
just kind of spread that around. But
Yeah, it's the best way because Blizzard can't touch you. Those people can't touch you. You're in control of it here, you know?
that makes
So,
that's what really made it kind of make more sense to me because I hadn't really ever thought about that far. I was just like, I'm done with the game, so like, why would I try? But the more I think about it, the more I realize that like there's a lot of other people that are probably still playing the game that feel the same way I do and have a lot of the same problems I do that would like, I don't know, probably do a little bit of good for them to hear that there's somebody else out there dealing with that shit because it really does ruin the experience for you. It puts the sour in the sweet, and that's not always good.
yeah, I like the way you said it about like the home thing too, you know, because you don't want to walk into your home and feel bad. You don't want to walk in your home and hear arguments and
Yeah,
hatred and stuff, you know. So that's what you're describing there is exactly what you want to reach out to those people to remind them that they could still have this home and that there's other people who feel that same way about their home being affected by this. And I think if everybody did that, if that tide was growing daily like it should be, then the people, like I said, the newer people who are coming into the game with no respect for the game and people who are coming in and just trashing others and being as superficial as possible, not looking at it as an MMORPG, those people would feel pushed out to the point
yeah,
where the people like us who have been here forever and who have felt marginalized by these people, we would be dominating the conversations. And then, you know, like I said, Blizzard would have more actionable feedback on the people who are not. And it would be positive. But there's just so many people out there who are just, you know, willing to walk away from it. And then, you know, when everybody does that, you're like you said before, like the only people who are left are the bad actors. And then the new person comes in and runs into them and they're like, well, this is the whole game. I don't want this. So that's why those
yep,
guides or whatever recommend just turning the chat off because they know that, you know, outside of kind of a congregation of people looking to make the game better socially, you're just going to end up having to ignore those people.
yep. And I just wish there was a spot where I know it sounds silly, but I always had this urge to suggest to Blizzard that they make like a special set of servers for trolls, but not like not for the trolls, but for people who can tolerate it and they don't give a fuck. The people that are willing to do that back and forth Xbox Live chat voice, you know, like they want that in their chat. They want their Barons chat to return. Let them go have that in their server. I always thought that'd be actually kind of a pretty good idea because I feel like it would be interesting with the role players because a lot of them would be able to be like some like, you know, cutthroat rogue and like actually really get deep into that play and like actually say mean things in the chat and, you know, have a reason to go slash spit on somebody because it's fucking role playing. We're all bad
Hmm.
here. You know.
Yeah, it's an
But
interesting
I
concept.
because I wouldn't work, but
Well, the
it's
reason
still
that it
funny.
wouldn't
But
work is why it's interesting because if you think about it this way, that's the thing that makes the game what it is, the tapestry of it. Like everybody is together no matter what, and you could have a
yeah,
million different reasons that you like playing the game. You know what I mean? That's why it's gotten so crazy. So yeah, you're kind of almost. You know, that's why I like the game so much because it's so analogous to real life, where you can run into somebody with this opinion and then that opinion, a complete polar opposite, two people in the same street. You know what I mean? It's everybody's just in
yeah,
this world.
yeah.
We're all just living, and we're all just trying to do our best, and that's why I love kind of just observing how life plays out. And I think if you were able to do that a little bit, I can tell you've gotten very attached to the game and you've gotten very attached to these moments that have made negative impressions on you. If you were able to just kind of step back and observe them a little bit and then articulate them to people so when they run into them, they'll have a better kind of foothold on which to stand to navigate them in the future, the game would be better for you. You would be
Yeah.
a positive voice for that.
I do have a small solution that I've been thinking about for a little bit while we were talking about kind of that whole new player. We're not really doing the new player thing like a lot of us did when the game started or when we first started back in the day, you know, like they're not really exploring stuff. So like, and I think about it and I thought about it and I thought about it and I realized, and it's a retrospective thing. I realized that part of the reason why that's true, I'm very certain is because of all the role playing stuff that they took out of the game. And the best example I give to show you what I'm talking about is the druid quest for your animal shape, your different shape shifting forms. You used to have to go and talk to the different animal spirits and like do a little bit of a quest for them, and they'd teach you how to transform into that animal eventually, and then you would know the form. But like now, you just level, boom, I'm a bear, and now you're fighting stuff as a bear. Like they took the wonder out of it. They took the role playing
Yep.
out of the role playing. All
I
the old
totally
class
agree.
quests for everybody. All the role play, like for paladins, their cool class quests for their mount. That was epic as fuck, and I never got to do it. I did the warlock one, but I never got to do the paladin one. It's
Yeah.
not even in the fucking game anymore. So
Yeah.
like
I agree.
they took all the one, and I get some of those things were removed for lore reasons, because like it's just not like Ursoc's just not there anymore. So how the fuck are you going to talk to him? Uh,
Right.
so
Yeah, that's a
I
good point.
get that, but it always felt a little bit weird that they did that with all of them, because I'm like, not all of them are dead. Like the rest of them are still there. They could totally teach me.
Yeah,
And
and
it's just all these little things like that. It stacks up, and
yep, and when you
it's
do quests like
it's just
that,
wow.
you build up a reverence for the world. You believe that the world matters and these
Oh my
characters
god,
matter, and you respect the world more. You
exactly
know?
my point.
Yeah.
Es- Yeah, especially like you're on your warrior and you got to learn how to go pick up cleave and go off to that little secret fight club island and swim out to it and shit. It's like it's a real little bit of fun, and like it's a secret adventure that no one else gets to do except the other 3 million warriors.
Hmm. Have you played
But
Classic? Like, how do you feel
uh
on Classic?
uh I was there when it was there, and I can't say I fully agree with Ian, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I never know. Everybody always says his name different. Anyways, I can't say I fully agree with the you think you do, but you don't. But I really didn't. I remember very fondly going and leveling up my first little night elf hunter because I'm original, and going and running around and pine cones and helping people and killing some shit and taking forever. And I died like 100 times before I left the beginning area, and then I finally got a little bit better. And like, I realized you can't pull 5 enemies at once. You're going to immediately die. And not to say that we need to make the game hard like that or anything, but they did take away that mysticism too. They took away the leveling experience. It's like my hunter had up until because Cataclysm fucked up achievements for a lot of people. Uh, my PvP leader in my main horde guild, he ended up losing his Grand Marshal. He lost his Grand Marshal when Cataclysm came out, when they changed, like, because you weren't allowed to get the set anymore.
Hmm.
So like apparently like a few hundred people just never got that fixed on their account because Blizzard didn't know how. So there's just like a few hundred people that were sitting around with like they didn't have the achievement, but they did all the work, and they have the gear sitting in their bags, but they can't fucking use it. So like, and it's just like that. It's these little things that they fucked up, because like I lost my lore master achievement on my hunter. My hunter was the character, like I did every quest in every fucking zone in every expansion all the way through to Cataclysm, and then they're like, oh whoops, sorry, lore master works a little bit different now, and we accidentally reset your experience on that. Sorry, you still have the tabard though. Well, I didn't care about the tabard.
Hmm.
I just was excited that people could tell that I had done all the stuffs. But
Yeah.
like it's weird things like that where they just never fixed it. There's a lot of people that like people quit because of that. Like to me it sounds a little absurd, but like to them it's like they put their whole heart and soul into getting those achievements, and then it's like just gone. I get it. But like it's stuff like that. It's those teeny tiny little dents over time that they just keep making in the community that kind of gives a lot of people a lack of faith in their ability to actually listen to the feedback that players give, which is part of like you said, I kind of just gave up hope on it because tried so many times and failed every single fucking time. So I guess you're right. Like the
Yeah.
only avenue available probably is videos to just set it out there.
Right,
It's
because
like
there won't be any
I'm not
like
trying to.
third party pushing back on you doing it there. You know, at least
Yeah,
it'll feel like
you're right.
you're getting your thoughts out without anybody hindering them.
It does sound like a much better idea and a little bit better of a expenditure of time, but
Yeah.
I just I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of making an excuse, but I just kind of don't want to. But I feel like kind of need to, because I don't see the game staying around for like I don't I my personal pretty negative take. I don't think it's going to make it through this little trilogy of expansions. I think it's going to hit like that second or third one, and it's just going to fucking face plant. Something is going to go wrong. Some new mechanic is just going to, like, it's such an old system. How do you fix some of these problems? Because, like, some of them, like, that's what people are laughing. It's like things like bartender. It wouldn't have been necessary if you guys would have just listened to everyone's feedback 20 years ago when the game started and we told you that the bar system was kind of fucking annoying. They didn't want to listen to people about things like Questy. They fought back against Questy because they're like, it takes all the mystery out of the game. No, it just means I know where I'm actually fucking going, asshole. I read the quest, but I don't know where the fuck this is. I'm new.
Yeah, you're right
So,
about
like,
that.
things like that were just yeah, because then now they're kind of fighting against add-ons apparently, and they're
Yeah, I'm not
it's
really
like
sure why all of a sudden they have this philosophy, but they didn't for 20 years. That's a great point.
I don't know. I don't know. In my head, again, probably just being a negative ass, but it's because I think because it makes them look bad. It makes them look bad that they've
Yeah.
had this game out for 20 years, and there's like simple things that could have been fixed. And it's like you go and play a new modern game. Like I've been playing Last Epoch. I've playing shit out. I got like almost 200 hours in it just in the past like month or so. Fucking absolutely. Oh, what an amazing piece of game. But anyways, like I've been switching to that, and like in there, okay, when it first came out, have you ever played Last Epoch or like
No.
any like
Is that a
Diablo
what is
games,
that?
like anything like that?
What kind of game is that?
It's a ARPG.
Oh, okay. No, I've never played it.
Okay. Well, long story short, in there they got classes, right? But they're really they're just cunts about it. Okay. You and me, we hear warrior and you think arms protection, you think specialization, right? It's still the same fucking class. You're still a warrior, you're just using two big swords instead of one, or now you're using sword and board. Okay, cool. Like those are your choices, but in their game you get to like level 60 and you're like, man, I really actually suck at tanking as a protection warrior. Let me go talk to my trainer and spend a little bit of gold and respecialize. You know, it might be a hefty sum, but I'd rather play a spec I could actually enjoy and not waste my time leveling back up to fucking level 60. But that game doesn't have that. Their mastery system is their specialization, and you can't change your specialization without making a whole brand new fucking character. So if you find out that you're not all that great as playing as a necromancer and you want to try Lich, you're level 70, well, now the average player, as I found out, apparently the average player takes anywhere from 18 to 37 hours to level up back to level 60 because like they're not just grinding it. They're not over here trying to like find the min-max path like a lot of the hardcore players. They're just trying to play the fucking game. And locking your mastery makes you waste at least a solid 20 hours of your life re-leveling again for no fucking reason. So like, and this is sorry, this does have a purpose to do with what we're talking about. Is I voted with my wallet, so to speak, yet again. And I'm not the only one. I'm not like, oh, I'm the coolest motherfucker ever. It was a lot of people. They went from like 160, 170,000 players every day to like 3,000. And the number one complaint was locked mastery. Now, mind you, this game has a toggle for like every kind of gameplay that you could want. There's like solo self-bound where like only the gear that you find can you equip. You can't trade with anybody or anything. They've got a full offline so you can't talk to anybody or trade to anybody. They have a bunch of different modes that account for like 95% of all the play styles that ARPG players usually go through, right? Except the one with the unlocked mastery, and they fought tooth and fucking nail to keep that in there until they were down to 2,000 or 3,000 players a day and realized their company was going to go bankrupt unless they do something. So, that's what happens. Is you just have everybody tell them what the problem is, and then they leave, or they stay and then tell the problem, and then nothing ever changes. That seems to be the pattern with all of these games. WoW does it. Like everything, when they lose subscriptions in WoW, that's when they step in and pull the ripcord, as everyone likes to meme about. That's when they come in and are like, okay, maybe we were wrong about this. Let's change this, and get it all back to place. Here's 80% buffs for everybody across the table. Sorry. Like, it doesn't really fix the problem. It just makes everyone feel better, like Blizzard was listening. But in the end, it just circles back around to, again, your fucking mastery is locked. You have to waste 20 more fucking hours. The company isn't listening. But for the Blizzard version is you can't get into a fucking dungeon. You can't find people to get into your group with you. They always flake out at the first possible inconvenience and all this other crap we already talked about. So it's like you got to deal with that every time you make a group. And it just becomes tiresome for people. Like, they don't want to fucking play anymore. And it's the same thing with that. Like, that's when it comes down. Is when people leave, the developers have no choice but to do something. And that's why I actually support a lot of people just leaving the fucking game. Not forever, but temporarily and intentionally leaving a reason. And make, like you said, probably even better to just make a video about it and tell as many people as possible and just share your opinion about it and get it out there and see what happens for a while. If nothing changes and you still want to play WoW, but you're like kind of grummy about it, then maybe play still. It's not a big deal. But if you're so mad about it that you have to keep going to the forums and writing angry posts about it all the time, it's probably your sign that you need to quit. But nobody tells people that. Nobody is helping any of these people understand that they have that control. And I know that sounds stupid. It's not our job to parent them, but we are part of a community, so it kind of is our job. Like, you have to help the people in that community, otherwise it just dies off. It's like a flower tree. Jesus Christ. It's like a rose bush. What the fuck, brain? Anyways,
yeah, I agree.
If you don't take care of it, it just dies.
Yep, I agree. We all have to care about each other, and that's a big problem with the game right now. A lot of people don't care about each other. That's why I said before, like, these new people coming in, being as superficial as possible and just treating everybody like they don't matter, like they're a number to them. They just hop from group to group. This is my biggest complaint with the game nowadays.
Yeah, and I think another problem, though, too, is people telling you to get good, but they don't ever give you anything actionable. But, like, you can meme all you want, but maybe you should give a player some, like, actual feedback of what they might be able to change. Because, like, most people want useful, critical feedback. They don't want criticism. They want feedback. And, I feel like too many people don't know the distinction, especially on the forums.
Definitely.
And again, I'm glad that's not everybody on the forums, because that would be depressing. But then the community really would have no hope.
Yeah.
Holy shit! But I still actually have, I don't know if I'd call it faith or hope or whatever, but I do think that the game can kind of come back from all this bullshit, because they're still losing numbers. It's still not doing all that well. Like, as much as I might hope otherwise, it is what it is, and it's happening as it's happening, and I don't know what to do about it, except maybe follow the suggestion of the video. And I don't know what anybody else can do. Like, we can't petition Blizzard, not really. Like, we can go try and be like Nostaris and put a big old actual petition up, but, like, would they listen? And what would the petition even be for? Like, such a convoluted topic, and it all comes down to, I don't know, probably the accountability part.
I think it mostly comes down to just people interacting with each other in ways that weren't, the game wasn't designed for people acting this way. So
that's better. That's better.
But
I just don't know what else would you suggest to just, like, the community as a whole, like, just because I know you have probably got people listening, but, like.
Yeah, just I always recommend people to just be as, grounded on these topics as possible and just think them through. Like, if you believe that treating another person badly and being so superficial with them is beneficial to you, then I can't stop you. But I think most people don't do it consciously. They do it because they're just like, I don't know, like ADHD brain, like just hopping from game to game or whatever, dungeon to dungeon, pathway to pathway. And they're just reacting. They're not thinking. And so that's what I always recommend.
That's how it feels.
Yeah. Just encouraging people to think and just realize that the other people out there are also thinking, and that you're interacting with them and they're interacting interacting with you equally, and that, you know, if you treat them the way you would want to be treated, then, you know, this makes everybody better, and we all get, you know, we just improve from there.
I wish
And
that was true, because it usually just means there's one person doing their best to hold everything together, and there's 5 other people being complete fucking jackasses.
yeah,
I'm
it could
trying to
do
be nice to you
nowadays.
guys. Why
Yeah.
aren't you being nice?
And so the way I've handled that over the years, when you're surrounded by that nonsense, is to just ignore it. Like, just sit back and observe it. Try to maybe learn something from it, something that you could then learn and then pass on to others. Like, if you're going to make these videos, you know, this insight is crucial, because other people will run into it and they'll be
Yeah.
confused by that. They'll be surprised to see it. They'll be unaware of how to interact with those people. But if you, as the person who's already gone through the fire, you say to them, hey, I had this happen to me here and there, and these examples, and then this is how I dealt with it. I maybe didn't deal with it the right way, and I learned from dealing with that. This is how you might want to deal with it. Like, it's just that kind of learning tree accelerated, because, like you said, if people see this behavior, they're going to be instantly turned off. But if they can hear a perspective that, you know, they also saw this and they were turned off, but they walked through it and they become better for it, and the game became more enjoyable for them, then it just helps the whole community grow. But it ultimately is near futile, because, yeah, that you
Yeah.
never know how, you know, the younger generation of people coming into this game are going to interact when they pick up the game for the first time. That's really my big issue, and that, you know, is ultimately kind of feels hopeless, is that, you know, if the people who start playing the game next year are even younger and less involved mentally in this topic than the people that we're talking about from a few years ago back, like, you know, you're just kind of uphill battle this whole way. But it's a good exercise. I like it psychologically. I feel like I'm making an impact. I don't know that I am. But I think you share a lot of that same passion and candor on this topic, and you've been through a lot of things that are really interesting and unique with the game. Yeah, it might just be good for you mentally, and maybe it makes you feel good about the game enough that you start caring about it again, and it could be beneficial for people as well, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, I just want the game to do well, even if I'm not there. Like, it's not that big of a deal if I'm playing or not, but like I said, I understand that it's a home for people. I want them to have that. So I don't. I'm gonna have to really think about it, because, believe it or not, I do have actually rather adept writing skills. I just speech to text because I'm a lazy asshole. So
Well, good. Yeah, definitely put some
I
thought
should
into it,
probably
man. I could
actually
tell.
write it out.
Yeah, you should. You could make a whole fucking book out on it or something. Like, I mean, there's so many options that you have to tell these stories and to help people hear your perspective on them in ways that are productive and that can be beneficial for them. And yeah, I would love to hear it, and I'd love to see it. And if you ever do it, let me know. I'll totally take a look at it.
Yeah, I'm actually just kind of looking for an excuse to have something like this to do. So
That's great, man. Glad to
I
hear
just
that.
work. I do stuff at home and paint and stuff. So
Cool. So is there anything that you think would bring you back to the game? Like, what is the actual driving point besides not playing it right now?
it really is the community. I have very few problems with the game. The loot's kind of trash. I guess, again, it is anecdotal, but my personal experience tends to be that I have one or two characters that will get every drop that they could possibly ever handle, and they're like overflowing with loot. And then all the rest of my characters, jack diddly shit. Just absolutely fucking nothing. It's like, oh, look, I finally got a shoulder piece. And then I open my vault. Oh, cool. There's literally another fucking shoulder piece in there. Wow. So I just lost a whole week's worth of progress for nothing. Oh, but you get the stone. Yeah, okay, cool, but that's 2 weeks later. And it's like, it's such a fucking bullshit system. Just give people better loot drops. Stop trying to turn it into even bigger Skinner box, you know? Like, it's we already know what it is. It's what it is. It's a fucking Skinner box. We're little rats. I get it. But we accepted that. We know that, and we still play it and have fun. But it stops being fun when the whole point becomes the Skinner box instead of the game as a Skinner box, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. I generally agree that the loot systems have gotten worse over the years, but did you not feel like these things existed, like, back in Kata and all that?
No, and I think that was more because I had a full-fledged raid group, and I was able to like dish out loot to people and make sure that, like, I made sure that who needed the piece actually got it. We didn't have like GDKP or anything like that. It was it wasn't even merit based. It was just like we have 3 hunters. One of them has crap gear and is outperforming the 2 with the set pieces. So let's get him in full set real quick, and then we'll get you 2 guys some extra pieces that he can't use or isn't going to use. So like a couple of key items go to that first hunter, and then the other guys get the rest because he's already outperforming them. They're the ones that need the help. So like that sounds like really weird for a lot of people, but it fucking worked. It just works every single time because like there's no squabble of, oh, but I won the roll, but this person needs it better. No, we just skip that whole fucking thing. Hey, you literally don't even have a single piece of tier. He's got 3 pieces. Here's a piece for you. Fuck their 4-piece. None of us have a 4-piece. We can all wait an extra week. It's gonna be just fine. And we just go back into it, and nobody ever had a problem with the loot. Well, a couple people did, but that's inevitable. And it's not the best loot system, but it definitely helped. It was more communist, I guess.
Yeah, and so back
It's a more
then,
communist
basically, there
loot
wasn't
system.
like things like Mythic Plus, so you had a lot more control over the one
No.
unified loot system, which was rating. Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was so much better. Is that I wish we could have that, but I also understand why the loot is the way it is. But I think that they can just like tune it to just give people better gear. They shouldn't have to rely on delves, you know. That was my biggest source of gear is I couldn't get a group started, so I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna go run a delve and get a fucking champion piece of gear real quick. Like, but that feels shitty. That doesn't feel fun. That instead of playing the content I want to play and being able to get in there. Ah, fuck. Sorry, my headphones came unplugged.
Oh, no worries.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. Sorry about that, but no, I don't know. I think if I were to give any advice to anybody that's playing, is don't put somebody on ignore, report them. It puts them on a 24-hour like silence for your account, and you'll never see them for that whole 24 hours. But then the next time you see them acting up, just report them again. If, like I said, if you keep this empty chamber where nobody can see that the troll is doing the troll shit, he's just going to keep doing it, and he's just going to keep fucking up the experience for everybody else. So it's up to you, like the player, to do something, to say something to people, to stop them. Even if sometimes you might get in trouble a little bit, the consequences of you not stepping up and saying something are far worse because those have waves. They're not just a little tiny splash. It's a giant fucking tsunami that ends up getting dozens of people involved, no matter how hard you try, because that's how social networks work. Like, it's inevitable, unfortunately. So when you see somebody being a shithead in the chat, don't engage them probably. Just wait for them to say something really stupid, report that one thing, and then just leave it be. And then come back the next day. If they say some stupid shit again, when you see them again, report them again. Fuck the ignore list. It is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life. Because it's just don't. Just report them. If you don't have evidence, they'll never get in trouble, and they're just going to stay there forever and become immortal. And that's the last thing we need.
Yeah, I could see your point on that.
Like, if somebody's truly like assaulting you and like being toxic, like, you know, then of course there comes a point where then you need to ignore them and report them. But when they do that, it's usually a personal thing, so it's so much easier for you to report them because then they just have direct chat logs. This person intentionally messaged you with harmful intent, and like they automatically will action that stuff a lot of the time. But anything less than like somebody full blown coming after you, just fucking report them. It's not worth any more energy or thought than that. Trust me, as you can tell, it's not good for your health.
Yeah.
Just be good with the people around you as much as possible. And I don't know, follow this guy's advice and make a video.
Good. I'm glad I made an impact. Anything else you want to?
That's kind of the whole point of having a talk.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to, man. Really, yeah, it just makes things so much clearer. It's so much easier to do this like this.
Yeah, it's always easier. I fucking hate text, but no. I guess I do have a couple of questions. You do your videos, you record them, okay? So you're like live streaming, I assume, right? And then you like upload like small bits and stuff to YouTube, or you just YouTube.
I always stream on YouTube, so everything's there in the VOD. But yeah,
Okay.
occasionally I do
Oh,
that too. Yeah.
okay. I see. I see. Okay. No, I was just wondering because how do you get how do you get people to come watch and like stay?
Okay,
What
good
is it
question.
that like what do you think you found that like makes people actually want to watch? Because like I figure it's probably like a little 10-minute video so it doesn't, run over like I usually do. But like what
Yeah.
else?
Are you
What
asking
kind
like
of what
me
kind of stuff?
specifically, or just how does YouTube work?
Yeah, like what no, what have you found for your kind of content?
Okay.
Because I won't be recording any mythics or anything, but I kind of had the idea of like kind of like a WoW story time and like
Yeah.
encouragement hour type thing. I don't
Got it.
know.
Cool. Yeah.
But like
Well,
how do you what have you done to like you got like social media and stuff, I assume?
so no, I'm usually like very hands off on many social media platforms because I don't like the way the discourse goes
Yeah.
on some of these. But for YouTube, I have a lot of what I like to do as a person who's part of this community is I just like to hear and interact with people as much as possible. And so like what we're doing right now is a reason that I think this channel has taken off because I read every single comment that's left on this channel. I try to reply to every single comment that is left on this channel, and I try to make a meaningful connection with every single person who comes in through the channel, even if it's something that I probably shouldn't engage with. And so I think that's the one thing that truly sets me apart from everyone else. Like even when I'm live streaming, doing Mythic Plus Keys, I'm still reading every comment in the chat. I'm still interacting with people to such a degree. So I think like probably 1/3 of the channel's popularity is because of that. Then another third of the channel's popularity is because Mythic Plus pugging is just fucking interesting. Like it's a lot of really weird shit that
Mm-hmm.
happens,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of unique situations that we can showcase. That's 1/3 of the situation, and then the other third of the situation is because there might be people out there looking for advice, or they might try to learn from my content. Like I play Blood Death Knight at like a moderately decent level, so people might look at that as like, oh, I can learn from that guy or something like that. It's usually one of those three things that usually seem to be mentioned when people say like, this is why I found your channel, this is why I stuck around. But yeah, recently it's been mostly, I think, the Mythic Plus absurdity. And so what you can learn from that is like just interesting stories about WoW, or what is being worked on here and what is working for me here. So your examples don't always need to be about Mythic Plus, but just all these interesting stories that you've told today, they could be individual videos. If you can boil them down into one video, you might have dozens and dozens of videos already stocked up in your mind. You just got to make them. And yeah, I
So I
mean,
was right. This sounds like my idea because
yeah.
it makes me feel like I'm gonna be the old grandpa on WoW that just tells, back in my day, they used to really know how to troll you. But no. Okay. That does sound like that's honestly, I tried doing Twitch streaming for like a year, very unsuccessfully, but probably because I just had no idea what the fuck I was doing. But like
Well,
that's exactly what I was wanting to do, is what you just said, is
yeah.
just like actually engage people. And my intent was to keep it like under a couple hundred people so that I could actually, the whole Dunbar's number thing and like actually
Mm.
be able to focus more on actually talking to these people and not necessarily building a friendship, but a social relationship with them. Like, because it's all parasocial when it comes to like YouTube and stuff. So like, but like, that's what I was thinking. It'd be perfect. And instead of having like 1,000 people coming and bombarding me all the time, just a small limited group of people that like I frequently talk to.
Mm-hmm.
I like your idea, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's fucking good, man. It's really good for your brain. It's really good for your social skills. It makes you feel like a better person when you're able to actually interact with these people and make a meaningful impact on their lives, and they make a meaningful impact on you. And yeah, all it takes is just passion. Like I can tell you already have that. Interesting shit, you already have that. And then just maybe if it's only one person comes in, you still you make an impact on them, and then maybe they tell their friends about you, and then you make an impact on their friends, and it's just kind of snowballs. Like I've been doing this since Legion, and it's just kind of, I feel like it's just snowballed to the point where now it's a little hard to keep up with all the comments, but it's still You know, I think people stick around for that reason because they feel like they're heard here, and they feel like, you know, they matter. They're part of an actual social community that, like you said, the game is lacking nowadays. So they're wanting it. They're wanting it above the game now.
Yeah. All right. So I can tell this is kind of coming to an end. So I want to ask you some completely off-topic shit, but
Okay,
also still WoW related.
great.
Um, the typical nerds. What's your favorite expansion and
Mm.
why?
Okay, good question. I always answer
And
like,
you can pick two because
okay.
there's always a sub favorite.
Okay. All right, I'll give my whole thoughts on expansions in general. So typically, I like
Okay. Okay.
the idea of World of Warcraft to the point where expansions are almost secondary to it. So to pick one expansion is usually just going to come down to whatever theme that expansion had as my favorite. So,
Okay. Yeah, that's
but
fair.
but
That's
in
fair.
general, like if I was to be said like, did you like Dragonflight more than the War Within? I would say no, because the War Within builds on what Dragonflight did well already, and just, you know, it's always improving,
That's
right?
fair.
But if I was to say like what my favorite eras of WoW are, it's going to be mostly because of the situations that occurred during those eras. So my number one like situation era, you like whatever you want to say, like location, is Mr. Pandaria. That's my favorite. I love that the music, I love the atmosphere, I love kind of, you know, the themes of all the zones and the characters that got introduced. I think they did a great job with the storytelling of that time. And then if you said to pick two, my second one would probably be the classic era, because I felt like the world was very crucial to the game at that point. It's kind of what made me fall in love with the game. A lot of the quests felt like you were actually interacting with characters who would matter and who would become important to you in the future, and it was very like wholesome. It felt like, you know, you were actually making an impact on the world as you leveled up, and that you felt like you were
Yeah.
doing something along that way. So those two are my favorite, like, you know, concepts of expansions. But like I said, like I just think the War Within is infinitely better than those things because it's built on everything that was great in Mop, and Mop's still there. I can still go back to Pandaria and explore those, you know, the vibes
It
of
is
it.
actually still fun. That
Yeah.
was the expansion I suggested to my girlfriend because she came in like a few months before I quit, and she just wasn't sure what to do. And I'm like, I guess maybe try Chromie time and just go do Pandaria and like just stay there, like level up all the way through that, like
Hmm.
just because it just zooms through. It's like just get every quest you can done there, just explore everything. There's like all the cool, fun cooking. That was my favorite part, was the
Yeah,
farm and all the
I agree.
cooking. So
Cool.
like yeah, and she loved that. She got to do a little bit of that, and you know. But anyways, I think I have to bet that my favorite expansion is Burning Crusades, and
Hmm.
not because it's like nostalgia. I loved the lore. You're going to a broken world, literally shattered apart by fell magics, with a lost set of disparate tribes of orcs running around trying to figure their shit out, while the Draenei live in what could only be described as luxury compared to what the orcs have to go through. And like, it's just such a great bit of world building that it kind of just needs the attention of the player the whole time, especially the first time you walk across one of those doom walkers. You're just "Whoa!" I'm like, oh, what the fuck is that shit? I fucking had a heart attack the first time I heard that noise because I had never heard anything that terrifying in the game.
Hmm.
And it was like 10 feet behind me. I was, oh my god, fuck. I logged out of the game. But I think my favorite, and I know everyone's gonna hate me, but Shadowlands. And it's not the whole expansion, because they fucking dropped that ball so hard with the story. Because I see what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it, I think, out that the jailer was trying to kind of end this whole curse of flesh and mortality thing, so that like there wouldn't ever have to be life and death, and that everything could just continue being eternal, because he thought that it would like end the struggle between all the different forces. And I can't tell because they fucked it up,
Hmm.
and I don't know. But then I might have just probably missed some things because I only played like the last maybe 5 6 months of Shadowlands. Okay, but the whole time I was there, I did every quest that I could get a hold of. I really experienced it, and to me, the best thing was just the zones, the like the questing, the whole experience until you get to that last bit with the raiding, and they fucked the story up, and none of it made sense. But the thing that stood out to me the most out of any other part of WoW was Zereth Mortis.
Yeah, it was cool, right?
I will Yeah, no, I will take this to my fucking grave. I've played D&D since I was 11. That was the fucking pinnacle of heaven. That was absolutely fucking peak video game storytelling. There has yet to ever be a game ever, and probably not for a long fucking time, that does such a good fucking job of instilling wonderment and awe. Because you're just running around learning these ancient languages of the first ones, and you start slowly learning their language, and they reveal to you, hey, quit being a jackass. You're fucking everything up. Oh, I didn't understand you before. What are you talking about? Oh my God, he can finally understand this dumbass. Oh my God, you're fucking everything up. And then you're like, oh, we're the bad guys this time a little bit. Shit. And like, it's just this like cool sense of discovery that I hadn't felt in a long fucking time. And the walking on the magic water, the prototype animals as a hunter. Oh yeah,
Ooh.
that was the best.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I love that zone. There's such replayability still in that zone.
The music,
even now. Yeah, the music too.
yeah. That's when I found out about the catalyst, because I came in, I had like 23 catalyst charges, so I had like a full set of gear in that first week. I just was like, whatever, just upgrade it so I can have the set piece, so I can like do some shit. And the music when I got to Catalyst Gardens, it fucking blew my mind. It was perfect.
Yeah, the music.
And then also
really
the other cool thing is they made it so that the people talk with music. They sound like different musical instruments when they talk.
I forgot about
So like
that.
when you're hearing them, that's why you get so confused when you're listening to them talk. It's just a bunch of weird ass symbols showing up, and then they're like, and it's like, what the fuck is he talking about? And so like that was the whole thing. It's like you're talking to all the Jiros and the cartel dudes, and everybody's teaching you all about the beginning of the universe, and then you find out you're kind of the bad guy. And that's kind of where I get that idea that the jailer was trying to do something good and was fucking everyone's plans up. Because I think he was right. If you give everybody an immortal body like the Titans have, it fucks the balance of everything up. Like if you put an immortal soul into an immortal body, like what happens when everybody's immortal and no one dies, and now no one can be judged, so they can just do whatever? Like, what the fuck was his plan? I don't know. And that's what was fucking great about Shadowlands until the end.
Yeah, I could see it. I agree. I mean, I thought Shadowlands was pretty good. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I actually did like a lot of the stuff that went on in there.
Yeah. Oh, and those cool water swords for my warrior. I specifically spec'd into One-Handed Fury to get those cool watery swords that you can get from the cartel dudes.
Oh, yeah, from Tazavesh. Really cool.
Yeah, that's all. This is the stupidest shit. I got so much flack because they're like, you're doing so much less damage. I'm like, yeah, but it looks so fucking cool.
Don't blame you.
But no. Anyways, though. If you could take and put anything back into the game that they took out, what would it be?
The big thing for me is like in Cataclysm, they removed enormous amounts of like content in general, like just hundreds and hundreds of quests, transmogs, pets, mounts, all that stuff. I would want that to come back. Like you can do it through Chromie Time, like a classic Chromie Time, where you actually play the classic zones and quests and dungeons and all that content again. That's like my number one.
That would be really good.
Yeah, that's my number one want.
I never really thought about it myself, honestly. Like I said, that was my number one complaint about most of the like lore and role playing is they just cut out all of those quests, like you just said. So
yeah,
I think if anything, I'd probably. I think most people disagree. I'd bring back skill leveling, like your one-hand skill in swords, and you got to go attack things to level it back up because you got a new weapon. I'd bring that back. That's actually one of the things that I love the most, especially because for me, I remember more fondly Wrath, going through like the Howling Fjord with my warrior and all that. So like, to me, it was really fun being able to train in a new weapon and be shit at it for a minute, and then like just go and fight enemies while I'm questing, and then slowly get better, and then go finally join a dungeon, walk all the way over there, still leveling up a little bit, and hopefully nobody sees. And that I think I'd put that back in. I'd put the skill leveling up, just like for professions and stuff. I thought that was a nice touch for the role playing. So maybe
Yeah,
both of those things.
there's a lot of RPG elements that the game has lacked over the years, and I agree that like the early days had it right.
That's why I think that's what I'm saying. That's the problem is there's just not enough engagement from like there's nothing to engage in. People want to, but they just get left to do like you said, just kind of be a jerk to each other because they're waiting for the next dungeon to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of shit that needs fixed in the game.
Have you ever heard of something called Azeroth Core?
Mm,
Have you ever heard the concept
no,
of like
I don't think
private
so.
servers and stuff? Do you know what private servers are?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. So there is this it's like an open source thing that you can download called Azeroth Core, and it will allow you to host your own private server for just you, and you could do anything you want with it. You can make any change you want. It's based on Wrath of the Lich King, so a lot of the stuff that you kind
Yeah.
of said you missed in the game is there. And ironically, Painbow, he has a lot of guides on how to set up player bots and how to make it feel more like an actual, like it's like hundreds of thousands of people playing it alongside you with the bots. It's very interesting, like just creation wise, because you can kind of explore what WoW could have been and potentially make your perfect version of the game, and it's totally free and something you can just play on your own. So it might be something to
See,
think about.
that was always my thought for what they could do is I thought they should just have instead of like private servers, Blizzard just needs to have like kind of what they're doing now, classic permanent classic era realm servers, but for each expansion. Like I don't think that it would kill them to take some of these low pop servers, merge them or put them to somewhere else, right? Take that server blade or however the fuck it works and just put Burning Crusades on one, Wrath on another, all the way through, and just make it so that those people can just like, do you want to live World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King for the rest of your life? Go fucking do it, dude. You want to live Cataclysm forever? Go do it. You don't have to play the live game anymore. All you need is a subscription, and you can live whatever WoW fantasy you wanted to.
Hmm.
And I thought that's what they were doing, but they only let it go with vanilla. And then everything else is just whatever modern version they're on now. It's like, well,
Yeah,
shit.
I actually agree with that.
I think that would bring a lot of people. Honestly, I think that would bring a lot of people back. But then I think it would have the other problem of kind of dividing the community even more because not everybody agrees on the best expansion.
Yeah, that's a
So
problem for sure.
I feel like there'd be a lot of people on Wrath and then like 2 people in Shadowland.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
but no. I'd like their talk. So
Great,
that's
man.
just nice.
I fucking loved it. I
Yeah.
think this was awesome. So yeah, I got to get running. But if you have any other
Yeah,
questions
of
you want to
course.
ask me now, I still have a few more minutes.
Mhm. Not particularly. Where do you see the game going in the next couple of years? Not even really long term.
Hmm. Yeah, it's hard for me to say that. I've sat here and pondered the existence.
Sorry. I gotta interrupt for like 2 seconds. I meant like also because of things like this little like one button macro thing that they have coming up. Like also like that kind of stuff. Like what do you think they're gonna do with the game? Because to me it sounds like they're. I probably just like being dramatic, but it sounds like they're just trying to make it like a mobile game, and I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
sure how to feel about that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think what they're trying to do is like, cause I just made a video on this weekend too. I don't know if you even saw it, but I like the idea that they're doing there because the game's complexity has ballooned to a point where it's becoming almost untenable for some players. But the content,
I believe so.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the complexity is actually fun. Like I described this in that video where
Yeah.
if they removed all the
Complex, but not
complexity of
hard.
Blood Death Knight for my that's my main. If they removed all that complexity, the spec would be totally a shell of itself and not fun. But at the same time, you
Yeah,
cannot
just
play
like
that spec
combat
without
road.
you can't play that spec without add-ons. So it's almost like a double-edged sword. So they kind of have to do what they're
Really?
yeah, it's pretty much impossible. Like there's 3 things on Blood Death Knight that I really can't imagine succeeding at doing without add-ons helping me with it. So it's like almost like they have to make that a baseline feature of the game where players can use whatever add-on functionality is lacking from the base game and add that in. Because like, yeah, the concepts of it are very fun and engaging, but its complexity is what makes it so. So you can't get rid of the complexity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a hard problem to solve, but I like that they're handling it that way.
Well, it sounds like they got a little bit of a grasp on that one then.
Yeah.
Uh, I like that, but I don't know. I don't even know. I'm not sure what else there could be to do besides just encouraging people to come back and play. I don't know, because why would they? They quit. They already quit.
Oh well, I mean they're
So I don't
constantly
like
trying to get in the heads of the people who quit to come back, but I just don't think they know exactly why everybody quits. Like I think everybody's got their own very unique story, kind of like yours. It could be nuanced to such a degree that Blizzard couldn't ever talk you into it, you know. So yeah, it's just
That's fair.
it's tough. I don't know how they approach like the actual business end of like the player base, but I think as long as they just keep making good content and you know making good actual gameplay loops, then people will enjoy it. It's unfortunate that the community kind of cannibalizes itself at times, but you know I think on their end they're happy that they're collecting the money.
Yeah, unfortunately. But as you said, you gotta go. I'll let you out of here.
Yeah, I got to run, but it was a great chat, man.
All
And if
right.
you ever need anything, yeah, just reach out, man. I think we can do a lot together. So feel free to let me know if you ever want to
Yeah.
make a video or something like that.
Okay. If anything, I'd probably just ask for more advice on the video process. So,
Sweet, happily help. I actually did that
Alright.
as a job for a long time, a YouTube consultation. So I have a lot of experience in that too.
that's pretty cool.
Well, good shit, man.
All
I
right.
hope you have
Well,
a good day, and
yeah.
we'll see you sometime.
Yeah. Yeah. See you around.
All right, thanks.
How do I end the call thing?
Okay, we're done. I appreciate everybody hanging out for this. This was definitely not what I expected to happen today. I think it went great. I know a lot of you guys were thinking I'm like regretting it or like in purgatory here of some sort, but I love this shit. I fucking love this shit. Just talking about the game, just hearing unique perspectives, hearing interesting human beings, like whatever. You know, I still have my thoughts on the guy's, you know, mentality of some things, but it's like still, it was a very interesting conversation just to hear those things. Because I believe he truly is passionate about the game. Whereas there's a lot of people who just aren't. Like there's a lot of people nowadays who play the game, like I said, very superficially, to the point where I don't trust that they actually even care about the game that they're talking about. So at least we know that is not the case. But yeah, I am gonna get out of here. Yeah, I don't know how much you saw that, Painbow. I was hoping you were watching that because the beginning. If you did not see the beginning. I don't know exactly when. If so, hopefully somebody can timestamp it in the VOD when he actually gets in the call for the first time. But the first like 20 minutes of that, holy shit, you're gonna like to see that. I think so. Yeah, you want to check that part out. But anyway, yeah, very interesting conversation. I had a lot of fun with that. So we'll be back tomorrow with more Mythic Plus pugging back to normal stuff. So, and then yeah, I had a video set for today, but it didn't, and I'm not going to publish it at this point. So thanks for hanging out. I guess you guys probably had as much fun as I did, but yeah, have a good one, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow.